The end of the year. The time is very shockingly warm, and I get to listen to the sweet, sweet sounds of my upstairs neighbors being absolute tosspots.
That's the truest gift of all. It's the gift of friendship and camaraderie with your fellow man.
Yeah, I want to fucking lose my mind. So, to that end, for this little end of the year chat, I apologize if there's background noise. I've done my best to reduce it, but there's only so much.
Yeah, not great. From what I've heard.
Yeah. Until then, enjoy the sounds of what I believe to be the background music of some sort of JRPG or something. I don't know. Whatever it is, it's repetitive and bassy.
Oh, maybe they're just playing whatever the newest RPG game is, which I don't really know because I'm not in that. I'm not in that
sphere. I just know that I've heard enough music from it, some Persona bullshit or whatever that stuff is.
It's Final Fantasy 14.
Final Fantasy. Fuck yourselves, people.
Get a job.
Well, they definitely do, which is they're also assholes.
Okay. Professionally, yeah.
But my bullshit aside, welcome to the end of the year chat for the good old 2021. It sure as shit could have been worse than last year, but it was still pretty weird, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. I mean, overall it was weird, but it was definitely. I've seen a lot of talk from people that have been saying it was just as bad as last year, but it didn't really feel like it. At least not to me. Don't get me wrong. There's plenty shitty about it, but last year blew.
Yeah, this one, I'm sure a lot of bad stuff still did sort of happen, and I think a lot of people at this point are just kind of used to it, or that it's gotten so numbing that no one really cares anymore. So, gotta love the world.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to get used to it, I guess, at some point.
Yeah. What else are you gonna do? Just go crazy, I guess.
The space madness, the confined nature of things.
Yeah. I wish it was at least space madness, then we'd have the benefit of space.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Imagine if we get to space. Imagine if Elon Musk has his big rocket ship and we can all get on it and fly to Mars, and he steps on the little air pump that causes it to blast off, and we can all just live in the cosmos.
I gotta say, if it's gonna be the choice between being stuck on Earth or being stuck in a rocket with fucking Elon Musk, I'm gonna pick Earth.
What a man.
I cannot think of a more hellish existence than a small, confined metal space with that man, whose name is literally Musk.
Yeah. No, that would be horrible.
Yeah.
Oh, well. I mean, the year wasn't all that bad. There were some good things that happened. We got the Sonic 2 trailer. I'm excited.
That's all I needed.
I'm looking forward to that.
It's a nice little benefit for coming forward in the new year, but I'm sure we'll get to more titles like that. I'm trying to think what other shit really was a highlight of this year, which I don't. It's sad to say that I don't really have any one particular thing. Life's moved pretty quick, it feels like at times, but also unbearingly slow.
Didn't make any huge changes.
Not really. I moved to a different apartment, but it's still in the same city.
Mm-hmm. And that was clearly a mistake.
I mean, yeah, true. But I don't blame that on this apartment. I just blame it on those people. But hopefully that'll be addressed in its own way, one way or another. I'm kind of in a bit of a holding pattern for the next couple of months. Depending on I'm probably going to be current plan is I'm going to be moving in with my girlfriend here in a few months. But and that would require moving out of state. But that is still a few months away, and we're still figuring out the details of that, so God only knows.
Mm-hmm. You know around when that might be?
It should be end of April, beginning of May. through the end of April into May, because my lease here ends at the end of April. So
I see. I gotcha. Oh no, we might miss the Sonic premiere.
Oh no.
April 22nd. Oh, okay. That's
doable.
It's right before the end of the month.
Yeah, if you wanted to come up during that period,
I think I might. We'll do what we did for Sonic. It'll be nice.
Yeah, get a little swan song before I have to move out of state.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise, life's been pretty standard. I still have my job. I'm doing better in it. I'm getting paid a little bit more for it now. Nothing horrible, nothing too spectacular. I turned 25, so I feel old, but
Yeah. I guess that's true. The main upside is just the fact that it's not 2020, because honestly, nothing really happened with me either. The highlight of 2020 for me was getting this condo that I lived in, getting that at the end of the year. But that was the big change, and now I'm here. Nothing has really changed this year. I'm getting more responsibilities at work. Still waiting to get pay increase to reflect that. And
that'd be good.
That'd be nice. I've been pushing for it. But yeah, nothing has really interrupted the status quo for me. I just live.
That's the most anyone can really ask of you. Quite honestly, the literal bare minimum is to be alive.
Yeah. And even then, sometimes I'm like, what if it just stopped?
Yeah.
That's not a suicide thing. That's what if literally just blink and, we're done. I'm not worrying about these things anymore.
Yeah. That's why I got the depression. I guess that is a highlight of this year. I'm going to therapy now, finally.
That's good.
Yeah. So that's something. It's sad when that's a highlight. But otherwise, yeah, no, it sounds pretty standard overall. I can't even say I watched a ton of stuff outside of the show this year. I'm honestly just trying to remember what the fuck I did this year.
Yeah. No, I recall just thinking back on previous episodes. I didn't watch much this year. I didn't do much this year.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, Stu. At that work.
Yeah. I mean, life as it goes. I guess I will say that's probably about as good a time as any to break into some of the general questions we tend to answer.
Oh, yes.
I think we'll go ahead and get the easy one out of the way. Worst one that we did this year was Easy Rider 2.
Yeah, I was debating. I was like, should we even count that as a movie? I guess it is.
I will say we can do other ones along with that, but that's just this is our Departed of the year, which is objectively it's just bad on every level.
Yeah. No, I wasn't. I wasn't big on that.
Yeah, so long as that's just pretty much said right up front. But,
I'm going back through these, and honestly, at least for my money, a lot of the ones we covered this year are either great to they range from great to meh. Not a lot of things that I actively disliked, which is surprising me.
Yeah, I think 0 Hour was pretty dull. I'm gonna be real; it was pretty dry. But then again, it was comparing that to the comedy version of it, so that's always going to be a losing fight.
0 Hour was dull.
Yeah.
The Color of Money was kitschy, but I didn't really vibe with it. A lot of it was because of the music. I remember not liking the music.
Yeah. I didn't really like it a lot just because Tom Cruise is weird.
That too.
At least in this one. I think I gotta say, just kind of the more I thought back on it, I did not like the remake of 3:10 to Yuma. Like, I tried to enjoy it more, but like more trying to think about it, I really did not like it. I thought it was really stupid.
I like it. The stupid. It was stupid.
Yeah, I think maybe I'm just too picky about Western movies at this point, but yeah, no, I just remember at the end of it, I was like, oh, thank God, but also like, what the fuck happened?
No, I mean, screw it. I say go for it. You think it's stupid, then it's stupid.
This poor guy just being soundly bled to death over the course of this film, and then just getting shot, and then this is meant to be a redemptive thing. It's like, no, he was a pathetic man living a pathetic life, and everyone knew he was pathetic.
Oh, when next will we discuss a film that is as hated as The Departed? Maybe 3:10 to Yuma? I don't know. Maybe 3:10 to Yuma.
I mean, like, it was still better than The Departed by a fucking mile.
Oh my god. There was an interview that I listened to recently with Colin Quinn, actor, personality Colin Quinn. And I remember thinking, I was like, Stuart might have a lot in common with this man. He was just going through, like, Scorsese's backlog of movies in discussion. He like, I don't even remember. There were like 2 films that he mentioned that he liked. I know one of them was King of Comedy, which I know we've talked about before. Yeah. But most of the others, especially The Departed, he just loathes. He said he didn't like Gangs of New York either, which I know you're a fan of, but I was like, he's a big New York guy and he likes a lot of these types of movies, but apparently he just is not fond of Martin Scorsese's work.
I will say, like, I respect Martin Scorsese, and I feel like I like more of his films than I've disliked. I will at least say that. I just hate The Departed. It's just a bad movie, and it doesn't deserve the praise it got. Oh my god, yeah, but like, and I know I've harped on it for years now, but damn, because like I like his other stuff. Like I said, Gangs of New York. I've seen most of Raging Bull. I've seen most of The Irishman, which I thought was okay. At least it wasn't bad. Yeah,
man, I just can't be bothered. Holy shit.
Yeah, no, it's yeah. He's got a lot of shit that's just kind of like, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, I think I'll have to say probably the remake to 3:10 to Yuma is, if not the least favorite, is at least up there. I also alongside that is the 101 Dalmatians remake.
Oh yeah, no,
at least in comparison to its original, it was pretty god awful.
It's pretty dire. I think Glenn Close keeps me from like. I mean, I think I tend to agree with that. I guess the remake of The Wickerman, which we discussed in the episode, we have sort of different takes on. It's like in a realm where, like, I get the memery and the laughing at the badness and, so bad it's good in certain aspects or whatever, but I remember just not being able to get into those elements. It upset me more than anything.
Yeah.
And
I
that
definitely
might just
wasn't
be
into the whole
comparison.
meminess. Yeah, I definitely wasn't into the whole meminess of it, but at least it was like, I could have certainly been worse.
Oh, yeah. We talked about Easy Rider too. A lot of these could have been worse.
Also, it's gained another star of approval for me simply for the fact of in Jingle All the Way 2, those same simultaneous talking twins popped up, basically confirming it as a connected universe. And I'm like, you know what? I dig it. I dig this weird universe that we've somehow stumbled upon.
This is the biggest coup of the year.
Yeah. Like, that is the only reason I want to elevate it from dog shit to just subpar.
That's the rating scale that we use here on the podcast, by the way. If you're just tuning in, if this is your first end of year discussion, it ranges from dog shit to subpar because we really do not like movies.
Yeah, well, honestly, why do we even do this show?
We actively hate them.
Yeah, I think we've gotten a bit of our initial vitriol out. I'm trying to see which of these I actually liked a lot.
So right off the bat, I've done this in the past, where I sort of discount a movie or disclude a movie, I guess.
Yeah.
And I'm doing that for the original Jacob's Ladder because I'm such a big fan of it, and that's the reason I picked it. So it would be cheap for me to just say that is my favorite of the year.
Fair.
But, outside of that, like I said earlier, a lot of what we watched, like, I actually really liked. I think because I have my all the trophies letterboxed pulled up, where I rank these, and it looks like Jacob's Ladder, which I obviously had as 5 stars.
Yeah.
I rewatched this year. The only other film I gave 5 stars was the Alistair Sims Scrooge from 51 that we just watched. There's a couple 4.5s in there, but the only film I gave 5 stars this year that I hadn't seen before was Scrooge.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's definitely got to be up there for me, but that's a good one to pick. It's just a well-made movie, and it's just fun. Right below, a good rendition of the story.
Right below that's The Hustler, which I also really enjoyed.
Yes. I think, Hustler's probably up there for me as well. It would have been higher if it weren't also just so goddamn depressing.
Yeah.
As far as top, honestly, for myself, I might have to give it to the original Wickerman. Like, I adore that one.
Yeah, that's definitely up there.
I certainly didn't expect it. But I think I just also have a fascination just with, like, old world religious type, subjects and that sort of thing, and how the accuracy that they went into it with everything. I think it deserves some the praise it's gotten over the years.
Oh, definitely. It's a shame I didn't get to it sooner than I did.
For me, I guess I'll discount Dread because I just think it's a fun movie. I think it's very intense, and it's just like, okay, yeah, here's just this crazy bullshit world, and now we get to just show some shit going on in it. But that one I had seen before and I really liked, so otherwise going through these, I forgot we did Freaky Friday.
That was early on.
Yeah. Which, like, I could kind of give or take that one.
It was like whatever family thing, which we've talked about in the past. It's like, I mean, it's kind of bland, especially a lot of those live action Disney films from the late 60s into the 70s that I can't get behind them. As much as I say I love 70s movies, those Disney family ones are so dry a lot of times, and they have this weird stale feeling about them. Yeah. It's just like there's only so much you can kind of do with them at a certain point. Now I'm just like, of course, and we also tend to have the subject of like the category of things we were most surprised by. I was surprised by a lot of shit this year. I'm glad I have this list pulled up because I gotta go through it. Honestly, like, the one I want to say is The Postman Always Rings Twice from 46. Because that was such a big coup. I was not expecting.
And plus it being, a listener suggested one, shout out to, oh fuck, I can't remember his name now.
Ian Matthew.
What's that?
Ian Matthew?
Ian Matthew, yes. Yeah, shout out to him again. That might not be the
Twitter handle anymore. I don't recall.
Yeah, fair.
But,
shout out to that guy for, like, recommending this one, because holy shit.
No, that was quite good.
Yeah, I did not expect that at all. Like, A, that kind of quality, B, just, like, anything to that caliber at all when hearing about it. I still kind of flop back and forth, like, I think we both ultimately agree that the original was the better one, but I still did like the 81 version. Just because, like, I think they did the female lead a lot better. She just kind of seemed like an asshole in the first one, but the second one she just seems straight up insane. I'm like, oh, that's scary, and I love it. That's gotta be the biggest surprise, though.
So I want to say that, but And you know what? I will say that just generally speaking among all the movies that we've watched, but on a more personal level, and we discussed that a lot in that particular episode, I was surprised by Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, because already I went into that episode with a chip on my shoulder about the original, because as stated there, I think everything prior to entering the Chocolate Factory is so much more enjoyable than actually being in it. And so a lot of that movie, I can't get behind, and I don't really like it. But I remember hating Charlie and the Chocolate Factory so much more than I did on the rewatch, to the point where I said that I preferred it at the end of the episode. So
yeah, that was surprising.
Yeah.
I think I still said the original was better.
You did, which is fine.
Yeah.
We disagreed. Oh no.
I mean, yeah. I think I just don't like Johnny Depp all that much.
There's plenty of reasons.
Yeah.
Not to.
One I feel like deserves at least to be mentioned was Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, just because that was a trip.
Oh, yeah. I guess I was kind of surprised by the TV remake, because I had seen the original a couple of times, and I knew how much I liked it. The remake with the Redgrave sisters, Lynn and Vanessa Redgrave, that version had a lot of problems, and I much prefer Joan Crawford and Bette Davis's rivalry seeping into the picture. That makes for a much more interesting dynamic than I found with the sisters. But overall, it was a lot better than I thought it would be.
Yeah. It's hard to beat real world drama like the original did.
Yeah.
Like
actual people hating and torturing each other. Yeah.
Yeah. God, early Hollywood was fucking whack.
Yeah, now we got all these rules. And limitations and shit.
Yeah, how dare they? With these working unions, and well, I mean, they're still like sex rings and shit and like super illegal stuff. Like look to your news for that one. Even just today, I won't reference specifically, but
yeah.
God, why do we watch movies at this point? Honestly,
I do it to escape, I guess.
Yeah, ironically, to escape this shit. It's self-sustaining.
Ugh.
I think I will say for this one though, because a lot of things have surprised me. I didn't know what to expect from Easy Rider, but I did enjoy that a lot more than I expected. Even just on its own, not just as a comparison to the true train wreck that was. Yeah.
And even how trite you thought some of the messages were, which isn't admittedly, it's of its time, so that's understandable.
Yeah. But I will also add, I will say, I cannot continue on with the surprise, category without bringing up Jingle All the Way too. Because
no, it's fine. It's all right.
I don't know at this point if that was just like a genuine revelation on my part of like I didn't hate this and therefore I like it, or if I've just been in a bad place. It's just like I've been in a bad place to the point where a Larry the Cable Guy remake is somehow infinitely more compelling than like 90% of the movies I've seen in like the last like half decade.
Okay, I don't remember you saying that. That is truly bizarre.
I know that's excessive. That's excessive.
Dude, but, Sonic exists.
Yeah, I said 90%. Don't worry.
Oh, okay. I take it.
Don't worry. But I think it's like it really just was kind of just this testament of how tired I've been of the movie industry lately, and I ultimately don't regret anything I've said about the movie so far, because ultimately it was so harmless that it's basically meant nothing, and therefore it meant everything. And so I just can't bring myself to have a negative opinion about it at this point. Like, yeah, it's dumb, but like, we've watched dumb, and we've watched dumb that was trying to be smart. This one was not trying to be smart, and so like, I can't exactly fault it. It's just like it frustrates me that it's like this. Trust me. I don't like that I enjoyed that movie.
Yeah, that's fair. I got it.
But I will say, though, I think one category I'd like to kind of add to this, which one do you think was the most boring? Just straight up, just so you were in it, you're like, it was the hardest shit to watch. Not because it was bad, not because it was just like a lot going on, just because it was dull as dirt.
Dull?
Yeah, like, which would you say of all of these was the dullest?
Ooh. I mean, easy answer is 0 Hour, but thinking about 0 Hour, it's weird because as a whole it's dull, but having watched Airplane so many times beforehand, and they just took the screenplay from 0 Hour and changed it, I found myself slightly more engaged just because I was picking up like even just lines of dialogue. They literally just stole that entire line of dialogue from Airplane. So I don't know if I can say it was the dullest because it was keeping my attention, even if, it coming out like 23 years prior, it wasn't intending to do that.
Right.
So honestly, thinking about all of these, it directly goes against your opinion, obviously, which we discussed in that episode, but just the remake, the 2012 Dread, I just could not get into, and we talked about it at length in that episode. And I think it was because there was too much going on, so I couldn't focus on anything, and it just, I don't know. I didn't care for it that much. I didn't hate it, but it did not keep my attention.
Yeah, I think I'm realizing now that dumb action flicks or just like uncomplicated action flicks are to me as like B movie horror is to you.
Fair.
It's I know there's nothing to it, and like it deserves no real praise for it, but like I don't expect anything from it, and if it does it at least like on a technical level pretty decently, I tend to love it. And I think that's the case for this one.
Yeah, I got that. Well, what about you, though? I know you also mentioned 0 Hour specifically as being dull earlier.
Yeah.
When talking about the worst of the year.
I think that was kind of, and I'm kind of in the same boat as you, is that like, it feels like an injustice to say it was the dullest, because I did get through it. Like, that was fine. But I honestly don't know. I think I know the
category.
I created it, but like it's less that, and it's more me picking between options, because I think it's kind of between obviously Easy Rider 2, but like again that's a cop out. I liked The Hustler, but God, it was dull at times. Like it was hard to get through it at times. That and probably the Whatever Happened to Baby Jane sequel was just just like
TV remake.
Yeah, like I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just like TV remakes in general, but they just can get so fucking slow feeling. And
yeah, I
just couldn't consistently watch it. Like I had to watch it over the course of like an entire fucking day. It feels like.
Oh, good lord.
It had to either be that or I just saw it. What was it? Fuck. Weirdly, I honestly was really bored with. Ironically, I was really bored with the original Judge Dredd. It's like, I'm really thinking back on that one. I was like, I mean, like, this is kind of it's the dumb action flick thing, but it's like, it's doing that kind of that general era of like RoboCop and everything, or like Total Recall, that general era of action flicks where it feels like they're trying to say a message, but whereas those other movies tend to actually send a pretty distinct message, this one kind of didn't say anything at all. It just kind of had Arnold Schwarzenegger being hammier than usual alongside Rob Schneider, which is just like, gives a fuck. And like, and it might also just be because I'm biased because I do like the new one more, because I think it's just like it actually has a very visceral feel for the universe that is being created there, and so I have a lot of respect for it on that front. I just, God, the original was just not interesting to watch at all.
Yeah.
I think I gotta give it to that one, weirdly enough.
That's fair.
Like every time that's I guess the biggest damning reason for it is because like I thought back on it, it's like, God, what happened in that movie? And that's like, that's how I know what the most boring one was. Yeah, I couldn't do it. Like, and there are just so many scenes that were just so, they're like stupid action scenes, they're stupid action movie scenes, but there's so many scenes and I was just like, why the fuck would you do that? like the one I mentioned in there was like at the very end, the one like corrupt judge who's working with Rico, he decides to turn on him, but he does so by walking farther away from Rico, directly in front of his giant killer robot, then putting his back to the robot to aim a gun at him. And then it's just like, okay, how could you expect anything other than getting torn in half?
We had a lot to say about... I remember talking about that, too.
So dumb. I saw that. I was like, why on God?
On God, why?
I just, like, I couldn't. Like, there are, like I said, there are dumb action movie scenes that are just like, okay, fine. It's just like, whatever. That one was inexcusably stupid. Yeah, that's kind of the summation of the whole thing for me, really. It was just like a lot of really random dumb moves that ultimately it was an idiot plot. Like, things progressed because people were stupid.
Yeah.
That's kind of the long and short of it.
I know it's like picking it's just picking on something that's so easy to pick on, but fuck me, dude. The Rob Schneider just existing as a whole in that movie is literally the worst part for me.
Yeah.
Like, that movie has a lot of problems, but he literally only does one thing of use, and he wasn't needed for it. Like, you could have tampered with that bot in any other number of ways.
You could have just shot it.
Yeah, fuck.
Yeah, like, I've seen Rob Schneider and other shit, and he's not a good actor. I'm going to just say that I don't think he's a good actor at all. He has done better shit than this. Like, he's not the worst, but, like, this was just, like, he was pointless, and it was boring, and it was useless.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that one's got to take the cake for me for most dull. It's just like nothing. It's like so much is happening in such a way that makes it feel like nothing is happening. Which I guess is how you felt about the remake.
Oh, so this might be something interesting to bring up that I don't know we really have brought up before, but I was thinking about it following our Christmas Carol episode. Yeah. That we just did, because I mentioned in the episode I tinkered with doing Christmas Carol for the 2 Looney Tunes specials back in 2020, December 2020, and I ended up not going for it. But what were, I know we've talked about it because we text about it frequently, but what were some ideas for things that you wanted to do this year that we just didn't end up doing?
Dune.
Well, yeah, Dune's the big one.
That's the
Dune's
main
the big. Dune's the big boy, because like I had a couple movies. I was gonna do Rollerball, which I ended up pushing for something else. You know, and I was gonna do The Lady Killers, but I pushed that off because we have tossed around the idea of doing a series of short episodes. Chronologically looking at Coen Brothers movies, and I was like, well, maybe I'll save that for if we ever do that, because then when it comes time to do Lady Killers, I can just do an episode on that and produce it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just wondering if you had anything like that just either we'll do next year or it's just going to be pushed off to some undetermined date.
Yeah.
Just some interesting behind the scenes.
I will say, like, one that I brought up that we kind of had slated for next year, but I ended up kind of pulling the plug on just because I kind of looked up more about the movies, and they just kind of just looked, on both cases, both dull and not great. And so I was like, I don't want to have to do another one of those, honestly. But it was the movie Ned Kelly, which is it's a biopic of an actual historical figure from Australia in the, I think, late 1800s, early 1900s. It's just like, it looked like an Irish Australian outlaw, and I love the story of it just because I think it's an incredible story of the whole situation. It's like, it's the rare case of an Australian Western, which I'm surprised there aren't more of. But it's just like when I looked up at kind of the original ones, the original like 1970 version was really weird. Like think like kind of like original Mad Max kind of weird, because Australian cinema is very kind of like, it's not quite absurdist feeling, but like it's a lot of like, it's kind of the way they shoot it and everything. It feels like everyone's just kind of high on peyote, and so it's just like it just was a very weird little thing to watch, because I'd started watching a few scenes of it and I was like, this just doesn't feel that entertaining at the end of the day. And then the remake of it was just like, I think it was Heath Ledger, God rest, Heath Ledger playing the main character, and it just like it didn't really seem to fit super well. Also, Orlando Bloom was in it as a character, so I was like, what the fuck? But otherwise, ultimately, they both all seem kind of. Oh, also, fucking Jeffrey Rush, the guy who played, Barbosa in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. He's also in it. He's a police captain. So, little Pirates of the Caribbean get together there with the two of them. I think like it's a maybe for the future if like I really just want to do another Western or something. But it's otherwise, I saw the clips of both of them. It just kind of just didn't grip me, honestly. It's just like it was gonna be another one of those where it's just kind of like it's gonna be basically like pulling hairs trying to find an ultimate opinion, because we probably would have just been bored off our tits.
Yeah, possibly. Did you have any for this year? I'm wondering. For
this year, I don't think so. Like, I ultimately, a lot of the ones I came up with, I was always pretty confident about. I'm trying to think if there's any in particular I regretted. God, I don't know. I don't think there's any that I particularly regret. I'm sure Easy Rider is your choice if you had to pick one.
Yeah. I didn't know. I mean, I kind of knew it would be bad. It's just, I thought it would be shot in a funny way. Like, I thought it would look like an ABC Family movie or something, but I should have remembered this was literally just produced by some Ohio lawyer. Like, sure, there's money behind it. You can kind of tell that because it looks better than like a student film or like a YouTube film. Does that mean it's as good just because the quality is slightly better? No, of course not. But yeah. I don't know. It literally looked like a porn in a lot of scenes.
Yeah, like that's kind of the ultimate thing. It really does just straight up look like a pornographic film. And just like how divorced it is from the original movie, it's just like it's so shockingly weirdly bad. Like we've had bad ones, even with fucking The Departed. It's at least like it was at least effort was put towards it, and there was a certain amount of craftsmanship that went into it, and I can't deny it that. But God, this one just like I don't know why it had to happen. Like, I don't know at what point when people are making that they ever, at any point, decided, let's keep going. It's like, no. Why would you do that?
It's just a lunatic. It was one lunatic who was able to buy the rights to the movie. That's it.
It's so shockingly strange. I think the only one... though, to like, so that we don't have to, continue to shoot the fish in this barrel. I think the only one I would come close to saying I regretted necessarily would actually have been 101 Dalmatians, simply because like, going into that, I knew that wasn't going to be a contest. Like, come on, it's 101 Dalmatians. I know we like every year we tend to do a Disney remake, and at least when we did Beauty and the Beast, it was at least kind of like pretty even-handed. Wait, we did Beauty and the Beast, right?
Yeah, we did that like our second year, I think, in February. Okay, cool. Yes, after the Muppets, I think. No,
for a split second there, I was like, I was checking my memory. It's like, wait, have we done that one? Because I had seen both of those outside of the show originally. But yeah, like I knew going into this one, I wasn't gonna think the remake was any better. Like, come on, like I adore the original. I think it did a lot of interesting things with the story. I think it developed Cruella de Vil as a villain even better. So I think she was obviously the best part. But just like the fact that it's all fully just normal dogs, like not talking to everything, it's just like kind of takes away from any amount of dramaticism with them. It's like, what the fuck is going on?
They really did screw the pooch on that one. No pun intended. Honestly, no pun intended. No, I wasn't even thinking. But
I figured, don't worry.
Yeah, that was just, I don't know what they were thinking there. Oh, well.
Yeah.
That's right. Never mind. I remembered we were going to do The Mummy this year, too. I don't remember why we didn't exactly.
Oh. Yeah. Why didn't we do that one?
I don't know.
Maybe, was that one scheduled meant to be for like a Halloween one or something?
It might have been a Halloween one that you had planned that got bumped for Phantom.
Yeah, I think that must have been it. And like, honestly, we could do it at any time of the year. Honestly,
oh yeah, we did Wickerman halfway through the year. There's no law.
True. I guess the argument can be made that Wickerman original is just a thriller. But
yeah. Oh well. Well,
Yeah. In any case, I think that's got to be the only one I regret. Because like, come on, like talk about fish in a barrel.
Fair. You have any? Oh wait, I forgot. So I don't think we have anything else to say on the 2021 podcast as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Do we?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. So the one thing I want to ask, and you can go back through, that's one of the reasons I have my letterbox list pulled up, is we usually talk about our favorite thing that we watched just over the course of the year that was unrelated to the podcast.
Yeah.
And just starting off, well, you know what? No, I'll let you go for some things on it, because I actually got to think about this.
This one actually kind of came in as a surprise, because I haven't actually talked about it on the show yet of having seen it, because it happened in between recording sessions.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, I went home for Christmas, and I went with my dad to go see the King's Man, like the prequel for the Kingsman series.
Yeah.
I honestly loved that one. It was
really
stupid, obviously. Like, it takes heavy liberties when it comes to history. And it's kind of the whole point. And, like, there's so many plot holes to it. But, honestly, I truly don't give that much of a care. Because I do think it's the best one out of the Kingsman series so far. The other two, the sequel especially, were pretty hokey to the point of, like... The thing with spy movies is that if you're doing it in the modern age, you kind of have to have a certain level of, like, sleekness to it to be able to pull it off well, in my opinion. And it just doesn't really do that, at least for the sequel. The original one, it did. I think it pulled off pretty well, just because like it was able to hit that line with kind of campiness. But with the King's Man, having said it in World War I was probably the best option, because like it gives it that level of like technological, like lower technological level that kind of gives it this sort of almost kind of believability to a lot of the stuff that they do. And so it adds to a lot of the intensity. It's not just like, oh, everyone has like chips in their brains and there's this whole crazy thing where like everyone on Earth is going crazy. It's like, no, it's going with a very real subject of people going to war for stupid reasons. And this whole like crazy affair of the monarchs of Europe being literal cousins who are like literal childhood friends, just being dumbasses and shooting at each other. And there's one particular scene that I adored. It's this. There are these. The main character is in this British unit that's obviously in no man's land, like in the trenches and everything, and he has to go in nightfall with another another group of soldiers, and to go collect this I think fallen document or something. I can't remember the exact details. Also, don't want to give spoilers.
Fair enough.
But and this isn't too spoilers because they do show it in the trailer as well. Because like every movie has like that big like intense like sort of semi one take looking fight. This one was they end up encountering another group of Germans trying to do the exact same thing, but none of them can use their weapons because both sides of the trenches would just mark them out and shoot at them. And so they all have to bring out like knives and axes and bats and have this like silent fight in the middle of no man's land. And it is one of the most intense fucking fight scenes I've ever seen. It's so good. And it's just like, it's like the whole thing, like all of them are in agreement, like, yeah, we can't be firing weapons, so we're gonna beat each other the fuck to death, like right in each other's faces. It's so intense. And ends up culminating with one dude ending up, still getting fired at by both ends of the trench, and just, it's this intense chase scene. So it's one of the more intense scenes I've seen in a movie for a while, honestly. Like, kind of harkening back to, like, the original movie with, like, there's the big church fight scene. And it's pretty phenomenal. It's still, like I said, like, me being the history nut that I am, it's hokey as all get the fuck out when it comes to certain bits and pieces. It's meant to be, like, World War I, and by extension, World War II, are basically all orchestrated by, like, one angry Scottish guy. It's pretty absurd, but it does it in such an intensity and everything that it's actually like, okay, this guy's an actual threat. It's like, yeah, fuck. And yeah, like overall, like a lot of it's predictable, but it was good. I loved it a lot.
Wow, I wonder if I shouldn't give it a chance then. I know that the two of us have made fun of it quite a lot before it came out. I remember going over the films coming out this year, last year, in the last end of year episode. And we were both rolling our eyes at it because, like, I thought the first one was okay, and then the second one was just like, why the fuck did I watch that? So I was like, the well is sort of dry on this, and I was not really looking forward to it.
I was hopeful going into this one because I had the same thought of it when I first saw the trailer of like, you know what, this could go well. With having the separation for time periods, like, because it benefited from a lot of like more practical effects, with it being like just like, okay, we're just having people in a fucking trench shooting at each other with mud flying around. It's hard to fuck that up. Do something simple but do it well, and I think that's exactly what they did.
Okay. Wow, damn.
Yeah. Fair.
Is that it for? Well, I take it that would be the best of the year. For
yeah.
You. No Harder They Fall.
I'm going back through like. Harder They Fall is pretty all over the place. I'm just trying to look at other.
I remember you saying
shit that came out this year. Honestly, not a whole lot else that I even watched this year, to be honest. I watched a lot of like TV shows and everything that are just kind of like back and forth. But yeah, no. Otherwise, I can't really see anything in particular. I think.
Okay.
If I had to pick a worst one, it's probably Free Guy.
That was pretty rough.
Fucking hated that one. Like, Ryan Reynolds, you are on thin fucking ice, my man.
Oh, I warned you, but you had to. What, you saw it with like
it was
work,
a
work
company
people?
event. Like, I didn't have to pay for the ticket at least,
which is fair. I mean, I guess if someone else paid for it, I'd be more cautious about like walking out or something.
Right.
So, I get that.
So, yeah. So I guess my own money didn't go towards that drivel.
Yeah. I mean, it's really obvious, and since I just talked about it so recently, I won't delve too much into it. But I think of the new things that I saw this year, it's probably Dune that takes it. It probably is. I really liked it. I know it's still like middle of the road for a lot of people. A lot of people think it takes too long to set up. I think that's the main complaint. I think that's the main complaint, but I think it does it well enough. Oh, you know what? No, just last week, I completely forgot somehow. Just last Friday, another movie we did not discuss on the podcast because I just saw it between the last episode and this episode.
Look at the end of the year coming in clutch with the good movies.
I ended up seeing Spider-Man No Way Home.
Oh yeah, I've been wanting to see that. I've seen all the spoilers of it, obviously, because I'm a Spider-Man.
I mean, just the fact that it exists, I won't go too heavy into a lot of it, even though I'm sure most anyone that's on the internet has already seen all the spoilers that there are. But
yeah, like use your brain when they showed the fucking original Dr. Octopus. What the fuck do you think shows up?
Yeah, but it was good. Like I thought that I would like it. to a degree, just because I was one of those few people who, we don't have to rehash all our previous Marvel discussions, but I'm not a big fan of a lot of those movies, but I did like Homecoming, and I was okay with Far From Home, even though it has some plot contrivances that I don't really care for. It feels a lot more like an MCU movie than the first one does. It tends to bring a lot more of those elements into it than Homecoming did. And Homecoming straight up has Iron Man, so that's
true.
That's not good.
and then fucking Far From Home won't shut up about him.
Yeah. But damn if... the one thing I was worried about is that you watch the trailer, you know exactly what you're getting into. I thought it would be way too reverential. Not referential in talking about itself and its history, which is what it's going out to do. But if you don't find the fine line, it gets really fucking obnoxious. But I think the movie actually did it really well. Yeah. I was surprised by how it sort of holds up and how it does it. There's only two things in the movie that I groaned at there, and it's literally okay. When you're talking about a character's history, or you're talking about like a movie franchise, which I just discussed in the last episode with Ghostbusters Afterlife, there's some references that I think are okay, and then others that aren't. Mm-hmm. If you're talking about characters, movie scenes, or just like plot points, little background Easter eggs or whatever too, like all that's fine as long as it sort of contributes to the plot, because if it doesn't, then it's a reference for the sake of being a reference. Probably the one biggest sin that I can't stand in these types of movies is just referencing past dialogue, because then when I say that, it sounds stupid, because it's like you can reference past dialogue to tie up a plot thread or to sort of do a full circle in the movie itself with thematic themes, for lack of a better word, all that. But No Way Home does it twice for the sake of appealing to meme culture, and that really frustrates me.
Yeah, I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, but it's small, and it doesn't take away too much from the movie. It's just a groaner for me personally. But it's not like Ready Player One levels of obnoxiousness or anything. And it ends spectacular. I love the way the movie ends, especially because it's almost like, okay, we finally figured this out. We're finally listening to fans. We know what they want. We're getting ready for the next movie. And then all the stories coming out where Tom Holland's gone in interviews like, I think I'm done with Spider-Man. I could just see Marvel executives in the boardroom screaming.
What I think is happening is like, because I know Sony repurchased Spider-Man. I'm pretty sure was the whole deal.
Yes,
and I think what happened with this one was that they were basically allowed to like make one more to kind of tie it up. I think what's going to happen from here is that it's going to be some level of independent Spider-Man show or independent other Spider-Man movies. I don't know if it'll necessarily specifically have Tom Holland in it, though. It might continue that story, but or for all we know, it might just kind of leave off like there. It's like, okay, now this is just kind of like how that the universe is now. And it's like I do hope that Tom Holland does go off to do good things and everything. I've never really liked him as Spider-Man. I'm going to be honest. I think I've given the opinion of before, but I think the Sam Raimi movies are the best movies. I think Andrew Garfield is the best Spider-Man.
I don't get I'm pretty sure we talked about this in our Spider-Man episode. You're right. I don't understand why people love Tobey Maguire so much as Spider-Man, except for just nostalgic factors, because I really don't like him in that role. People are always talking about how good the Sam Raimi movies are, or at least the first two, and it's like, yeah, because of Willem Dafoe and Alfred Molina. That's why those movies are good.
Yeah, like that's something with Spider-Man content, is that it lives and dies most of all by its villains, because Spider-Man's rogues gallery is legendary at this point.
It is the Batman of the Marvel universe. That's why Spider-Man is my favorite Marvel character, for the same reason Batman's my favorite DC character. It's the villains.
Also same, yeah. with the possible exception of the Question, just because he's weird and I love him.
He's got a cool modus operandi. He's got a cool look.
But I realize he is basically just Batman. Also, at the same time, he's just Batman if he were like just like a detective, like a
doesn't have a lot of money and
but yeah, I think that's why Far From Home or No Way Home, sorry, did so well, because it brought in the really good villains and it brought in the really good actors and the really good effects and the really good like story writing for the whole situation, and it worked out perfectly.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that did well, and I'm glad that people are enjoying it so much. And I have absolutely no idea where the Spider-Man stuff is going to go from here, other than the fact that there's going to be, obviously more Spider-Verse into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, yeah. Ones. We'll talk about that. Don't you worry.
Woo!
But yeah, I guess that was my favorite of the year, and then Dune is, I guess, right behind it.
Yeah, I'd say it's a good choice.
It's funny because I've been going to the theaters every 2 weeks since, like, June, I think. Starting with Space Jam: A New Legacy, whenever that came out, and I've just been doing it every 2 weeks. And I've seen a lot of the movies that come out this year. And it wasn't until the very end of the year where I'm like, oh, these are some good movies. So most of what I saw was Space Jam, it was Free Guy, it was just stuff that was making me roll my eyes, be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
The new Halloween, which I liked after the fact, but every time I think back on it, I'm like, how much did I like that?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm still trying to even think about what all I watched this year, and it was not a lot. I feel like I watched a TV show at some point, but I can't tell you, like I started watching Star Trek Next Generation, but I kind of fell off that just because, like, I don't know, I just can't do shows that long.
Mm-hmm. I know you started Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, I've started Cowboy Bebop. And like that one I just haven't had specific time to sit down and continue watching it. So like I've enjoyed it so far, but I just need to continue it.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like kind of a dead year when it came to that stuff, which I guess is kind of expected with the whole virus thing, but it just like, and I've hinted at this through other episodes, and I've even said like I'll talk about it at the end of the year episode. I'm really in that dip for enjoying movies lately, especially with what Marvel's done to movies and everything. And I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna need to kind of talk about Spider-Man No Way Home spoilers to kind of get into a point that I have.
All right, everybody. So, right now, what I'm gonna say right now for this, we're talking about No Way Home spoilers. It's just to be generous to you guys, during the editing process, I'll take the start and the end time if you care, and I'll put it in the description.
Yeah,
there you go.
I will do my best not to ramble too hard about this, but it is, in my opinion, important to kind of just like discuss because of the implications it kind of puts on movies as a whole. So, you have been warned. If you have truly managed to avoid and not presume what sort of spoilers are coming out of this movie, I want to know how you've done that, because my God, I want that level of peace in my life. But yeah. Spoiler alert, obviously stated. But yes, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire do show up as their version of Spider-Man in the No Way Home, in Spider-Man No Way Home. Like, they show up from other universes just like these other villains have. And it's kind of the whole crux for the third act of that they are now present and they're helping out Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
But the point I want to make to that end is that while this is super rad, and I'm so happy that they've done this ultimately, it worries me for what all Marvel can do with this, in the fact that I've mentioned in the past before of like how movies can't really exist on their own anymore. A lot of this has partly been, people have been making those theories of like, oh, all these universes are connected, that sort of thing, like since like the internet's existed, and the internet has kind of allowed for these things to thrive even harder. Of the fact that we're able to constantly go back and rewatch some of these movies is that we're able to find details to try to connect things like this. And with this firm connection of multiverse jump between, I am scared that this is basically the floodgate that there is no longer going to be standalone movies at all. Like, literally anything could be referencing anything at this point. And while there's a certain level of creative and kind of almost like philosophical coolness to that, of like, oh, like now all movies can kind of exist on their own and kind of have their own thing, and there's a reason that certain things don't necessarily line up, even if it's the same characters, the same properties. With that comes the fact that, like, anyone could just start referencing anything at this point, and it could be completely valid, and I don't want to have to go back and watch other bullshit movies just to watch one fucking action flick. I have hated the fact that all the stuff with Marvel is that you have to see like all of it in order to be even a little bit caught up. You have to do all this sort of stuff, and they're basically able to lay claim to whatever the hell they want at this point. And with this explicit knowledge, like statement of, we can now connect these universes, we can now connect these films. Where is the end to it in sight? Like, you could do Marvel with Pride and Prejudice, for fuck's sake. And there's been jokes made about that before. There's Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, which is a hilarious parody film. But I don't think this is going to be done with any kind of sense of care or anything. I'm genuinely just like, I just want movies to just kind of be on their own. I want to be able to just be like, okay, here's this one thing, and I don't have to worry about another movie connected to it ever again. And the fact that I can't promise that for literally any movie now sucks.
Yeah, I don't, not to get too much into it, but I don't think it's really avoidable anymore. But that, I mean, we've been on a fast track, like Ready Player One, and as we just talked about earlier in the year with Free Guy, it's just that Marvel has been doing it in-house with its own, like, things for so long now that it's able to turn that into a more viable market. It's like, we're not just referencing things, we're referencing our own things. This isn't just like a Hawkeye poster in the background. This is, if you didn't just watch the new Hawkeye show, then you won't understand why Kingpin is doing this in this Apple Plus TV exclusive or whatever. Yeah. So,
oh god, I just realized Marvel's becoming Kingdom Hearts.
And that's kind of, yes. Okay, I'm not against it anymore. I'm in.
Oh no. God help us all.
Yeah.
The snake has eaten its own tail.
The Ouroboros of Marvel is finally risen.
Oh,
it'll be in the next Thor movie.
I'm so worried about movies, man. Like, Marvel has set such a fucking precedent. And if you want to go ahead and have a time marker, I'll go ahead and stop directly referencing Far From Home.
Okay. Right now.
But, like, I'm so worried about the state of movies with what Marvel's been doing with it all, just because I want things just to be their own art pieces. I don't want to have to go into a museum. You don't have to have seen all of Van Gogh's previous works to be able to have any sort of context for what you're seeing on display here. You just need to be able to see what you're seeing here. And as much as movies try to fucking show it otherwise, they are an artistic medium. You're supposed to be able to enjoy them for what they are. And the fact that we're basically encouraging creators not to do that now is bad. Because, like, even if we're not encouraging them, like, oh, hey, you have to make a wider universe, you obviously don't have to. But the fact of the matter is that individual pieces aren't going to get the notoriety they deserve now. And that sucks.
Yeah.
And it's just, like, like so many of these small developers, and I talked about it in the Jingle All the Way episode, but it was like the one actor he's in Thor, actually. He's the Scandinavian professor guy. I can't remember the actor's name.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, sorry. I'm sure, like, honestly, I'll try to look it up right now. But he was discussing how in Norway or Sweden, where he's from, they would show movies at theaters for like 20 years. Like, One Flew Over Cuckoo's Nest played off and on every summer for like the better part of 20 years. And so that's how it got part of the popular zeitgeist. It was like, obviously you didn't have the internet, and a lot of places probably couldn't rent it or anything.
Yeah, we've talked about this. I remember this now.
Yeah. And so it's just like that sort of thing can't happen anymore. Like, medium budget movies no longer exist at all. And, like, the only other things are, like, these weirdly, like, very specific, smaller budget films or like very eclectic films are meant to just kind of either paying on nostalgia or really weird shit. Like this one movie that came out recently, it was called Licorice Pizza or something, which is basically just 70s. You remember them? You remember that era? I didn't see it myself, but my family, the other members of my family did. And that's really all it is. It's just referencing like shit in the 70s and how shit looked in the 70s. And that's the only way even smaller budget films are going to get that kind of notoriety. It's like with The Artist, the silent film that everyone loved for like 10 minutes. And then it's just pulling on nostalgia. And that sucks. Like, I want to be able to have like these weirder independent movies or smaller budget or medium budget movies. They're just doing it their own thing, and they're amazing. Like, for fuck's sake, One Flew Over Cuckoo's Nest is amazing. And I don't think we're ever going to get anything like that again. We're never going to have another film that's going to get the big five. I know that for a damn fact.
Oh, no, nothing like that. What I was going to say is theaters... It's funny because are theaters dead? No, they're not. I can tell you they're not because I have actively been going to them, and sometimes, like when I watched Ghostbusters Afterlife, it's literally just to me and my father in the theater. Yeah. But when I go watch something like Spider-Man No Way Home, which is a Marvel hit, literally the entire theater was packed. Even Shang-Chi had a decent amount of people in there. So it technically, is the theater dead? No. But if you were to ask me if it's dead, I'd say yes. Because movies like the Marvel movies are the only thing keeping most theaters in business, and then they can just fill out the roster with other films that come out between those times. Case in point, based on the trailer and the fact that it's not the Coen brothers, but it is a Joel Coen production, The Tragedy of Macbeth, I saw one trailer for it in theaters, and I was like, I really want to see that. That looks really cool. Not in a single theater anywhere near me. It's in theaters, but not near me, so I gotta wait until it comes to streaming. What streaming service is it going to come to? Apple TV Plus. I am not paying for Apple TV Plus. So it's like, okay, well, I'm either going to go out to Redbox whenever it reaches Redbox, or I might have to use some other measures. Yes. But I try not to do that. I try not to do that for creators that, I actively enjoy. Yeah. But they make it very hard. But yeah, it's like, was that released in theaters? Yeah, but nowhere near me because it was a limited release. Because are a bunch of people going to go see it? In theaters, I don't think so.
Yeah, I will also say like to the end of just damning Apple TV anymore, even more. While I was home, we ended up watching a documentary about Julia Child, the obviously famous TV chef.
The famous TV chef.
Yeah, exactly. I personally loved it. We rented it. We could only rent it on Apple TV. To rent it was $20 fucking.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was insane. I was like, what the fuck is this? Are you kidding me? And it's just like, I cannot begin to put up with this shit anymore. Like, it's... And to that end, when I saw The King's Man, there was also another trailer in there called... what was it? It was Everything Everywhere All at Once. It was an A24 film. And it's about it's honestly kind of referential to this sort of thing. It's about this woman who gets contacted by someone who helps keep control of the multiverse, which is to say she is this individual who's just this kind of poor office worker, but in other universes she's this action hero. She's the actress herself, literally in our universe, or she's an animated character, or she's this alien creature, or whatever these other things. And she's able to basically mentally connect with all these ones to call upon their skills and knowledge and everything. And so she has to fight other multidimensional beings who have the same ability, essentially. And it looks crazy and stupid, and I absolutely adore it. And I know for a fact that's probably going to have the same deal as Macbeth. It's going to get a limited release because it was very kitschy. It seemed very independent for what it was. I mean, it got some big names in it. One of the side characters is fucking Jamie Lee Curtis, for God's sake. And even the main actress herself, I can't remember what her name is, but she's a very famous one. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Michelle Yeoh. who's done a bunch of different things. God, what other shit has she been in? She was in Shang-Chi for one thing. She was the sister to the main character's mother, who they meet in the Shangri-La place or wherever the fuck they end up.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one looks amazing to me, and I know for a fact, just like you, it's probably not going to be showing anywhere fucking near me. There might be.
What a shame.
The city I live in at least has a decent film scene, but it's not great. It's it honestly might not show up here. So
yeah.
I hate where the movie industry is right now, but I am hopeful simply because of the fact that Eternals, the Marvel movie, is their first one with a negative Rotten Tomatoes score, which tells me the god can bleed.
Yes, it can, and
So
we'll see. There's 5 upcoming Marvel movies next year, so we'll be sure to go through those soon in our upcoming movies chat and see where we think this is headed.
Yeah,
I even got a trailer for one of them before No Way Home. But I doubt we'll have a lot to say on this, but we usually touch on the awards that came out.
Yeah, I 100% do not know what awards were given to what. I know the Oscars aren't until next month, right? Or have they already happened?
Well, they already happened for 2020. Excuse me.
Oh yeah, that was it.
They're going to happen. Yeah, next year for 2021. I mean, the worst part is that usually it's I haven't seen. Oh Jesus! It's usually I haven't seen a lot of these, but this time around, it's I haven't even heard of most of these.
Yeah,
it's
I think that's going to be the case, just because not a lot was able to come out.
It's Best Picture. The Best Picture for 2020 was Nomad Land, which is the only one of these that I had heard of, and that's only because Frances McDormand is the star.
Oh,
it's I like her in Fargo.
Yeah, she's been in things, right?
Yeah. And I mean, she won Best Actress for that role too. So, Best Production Design and Best Cinematography both went to Mank. I don't know what that is, but I thought there was a TV show called Mank.
There's one called Monk.
Yeah, that's the one with Tony Shalhoub, right? He has OCD and he solves murders.
I don't have any idea, dude. I just know it exists.
Yeah,
I'm sure. I think it's a crime show. Yes.
Mank is a 2020 black and white biographical. Oh my god! Biographical drama film about Herman Mankiewicz and his development of the Citizen Kane screenplay in 1941 or 1940.
I have got to say, Citizen Kane is a dull film.
It is. We've mentioned that too.
We've mentioned this before. I'll just say that outright. It's a brilliant film ultimately, but by modern standards, it's dull as dirt. I cannot, in my entire brain, think of a more dull concept than the story of writing the screenplay for that movie. I'm sure it was crazy, and I'm sure there was some stuff going on, but on the surface, it sounds duller than dirt.
So I'm gonna pull this movie up actually because I gotta know who plays Orson Welles. Tom Burke.
Who the fuck is Tom Burke?
English actor Tom Burke, born in 1981. Okay.
Now I gotta look Tom Burke up.
Great. It's just an English actor. He's in War and Peace and I've heard of none of these things. Strike, the BBC series The Musketeers.
What the flying hell?
Donkey Punch. Of course, he was in Donkey Punch.
Oh,
what is Donkey Punch?
I can't forget about Donkey Punch. Also, I looked him up. One of the images, is this it's a split image. Okay, for a second there's an image of him where he is alongside another actress, But I thought for the life of it, it was just also showing an actor, just a straight up different person under like images that are listed.
Oh, I see what you're talking about. It's like him, woman,
lady. Well, I think she's in one of the Doctor Who series.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she was.
I have no knowledge on that.
I think she was like Peter Capaldi's first assistant or whatever the hell. I don't know. I saw her. She's been in some other shit. She was in Doctor Who. That's all I can remember.
But yeah, like we sort of alluded to, we don't pay much attention to these. I sort of bring it up just because it's there and it exists. I just don't. I haven't seen most of these. The only other thing that I want to bring up, and it's really depressing. Best animated feature film at the Oscars and best animated feature at the Annies went to Soul. But the competition it had were shit. So it's like, what else could have possibly won?
Yeah.
Onward, The Croods, A New Age, Trolls World Tour.
Oh, God.
Straight trash. Shaun the Sheep movie, Farmageddon. I don't know. I heard people like that. Okay.
Apparently, even the Troll movie was actually pretty good.
Was it?
Apparently, like that was like I only remember that because that was the first movie that they really like. That was the first one that was hitting headlines for like it was meant to hit theaters, but then they only did it on streaming services, and it did really, really weirdly well. And so that's when everyone decided, hey, what if we just put all our money into our streaming services now?
Huh.
So it's that one's fault.
Blade Trolls World
God
Tour.
Damn it.
Yeah,
sake,
due to the COVID-19 pandemic, was simultaneously released on video on demand. AMC Theaters announced it would no longer distribute films by DreamWorks, though this was later reversed after AMC and Universal agreed on a new contract. What does that have to do with COVID-19? Because they pulled it from theaters?
I guess.
I don't even know why that is brought up in the same paragraph. Okay. Well, that's really all I have on the awards shows, unless you have anything. It's really Best Picture and then Best Animated Picture, and everything else is like, I haven't heard of it. I don't know what this is. Sound of Metal sounds interesting. A drummer that loses his hearing. I was like, I don't know. Maybe I'll look at that, but
no.
Had I heard about it beforehand?
I mean,
no.
It's just yet another damnation of just like how I feel about those kinds of movies. Like, or like those kinds of award shows of just like, I truly don't care anymore. Like,
yeah.
It just feels so pointless.
It's the pat on the back show. Yeah. Pretty much.
It's how hard can Hollywood suck itself off.
And they can do it. Trust them. I've seen it before. It's amazing. It's like Hollywood got a rib removed.
Just broke its back about 8 different times.
Oh. Well, if we have nothing else to say on that, we will move to the I'd say the meat of the show, I think, of the end of year shows. Just where we go over, we pull up the films for next year, and we just sort of go through, what's coming out, what could we cover. We complain about Marvel, we look at Disney, like all those things.
Yeah, fair enough. I guys got a big whole list of partial posters here. A lot of them are depressing to look at. My
just
God.
Going through it, like, what, The King's Daughter, is that the next Kingsman movie?
I have no idea. I saw this one, like, I haven't seen the trailer for it yet, but it's called The Bad Guys, and all I know is that the furries have been losing their minds over it.
Are you shitting me? Where is that?
It's just called The Bad Guys, and it's got it's these very stylistic, like anthropomorphic animal type characters.
Oh. Okay. Notice it's one of the writers of the screenplay for The Bad Guys is Ethan Cohen. Not Ethan Cohen. Ethan Cohen.
Huh.
I wonder how much work he's gotten pushed through. People thought they were dealing with the other guy.
There's a sequel to Orphan, that one weird horror film coming out.
When is that coming out?
It just says 2022.
Oh, okay. The one I have has like some dates highlighted for some of them.
Yeah.
Like
But
for
some of them
something
do
like
have
Orphan,
dates.
I would. Oh, that's fair.
Well,
For
actually,
some,
no, never mind. They all have just dates. Never mind. Sorry.
for Orphan, for something like that, I'd usually assume that'd be like an October thing for Halloween. But a lot of horror movies come out in like February and March.
That's the time when everyone's not focused on the movie industry so much, so they feel safe to release it.
They can squeak out. I don't even know. Like the new Hotel Transylvania is coming out, which I'm gonna end up watching just because Gendy Tartakovsky's involved. I can't help it. The way he animates things is just so beautiful. The way he directs animation, I just wish that this would be going towards different projects.
Yeah,
I don't know what to say.
It's like so many of these. It's like it's difficult even coming up with opinions for a lot of these because it's just like it's mainly just like me more continuing to lament movies and as a whole. Like there's another Mission Impossible coming out, of course. It looks like they're going to do the last of the Jurassic World ones with Dominion. What I am excited for, which like I know seems like it's kind of a hack at this point to be excited for, but the Batman, it looks cool. Like ironically,
I'm looking forward to it because the Batman aspect of it looks cool. I'm a bit hesitant because brief DC aside.
As we've talked about, in a while.
As we've talked about in the past, especially around Halloween time, even my favorite of the Batman villains is the Riddler, and he's had a lot of different portrayals over the years. But my favorite one is sort of this, this dapper gentleman who thinks he's smarter than everyone else in the room, and that explicitly sort of comes from. I'm not saying it originated there, but from my watching of Batman the Animated Series growing up, where he only has like 3 episodes and then shows up a couple other times in the background because his episodes were so hard to write for, apparently. But I don't know. That's the Riddler that I like. I don't like the goofy question marks all over your outfit like Frank Gorshin and Jim Carrey did. So I don't know how to feel about this new Riddler just based on the trailer. It seems more just like a psychopath. But I will reserve judgments until maybe trailer 2 or at least till seeing it. Because everything else about it looks pretty neat.
I know a new trailer has come out very recently that does delve a little bit more into him. Which honestly, if you wanted to fucking pause recording and go watch that, just to get another opinion, because like it does definitely kind of bring a more aspect of like he definitely acts like the smartest guy in the room, and in this case, he might genuinely be the smartest guy in the room, and so like he kind of adds that element of like, oh, he might actually be a genuine threat. But like it does it in the most like. This isn't a spoiler because it's literally in the trailer. He knows his secret identity, which like we gotta find another like cool secret for Batman at this point because like my god, that is kind of tired. It's like obviously it's the obvious one. It's kind of the whole crux of the whole thing, but still like there's gotta be some other shit like I know your bank details or something, anything, which I realize is just what happens in Dark Knight Rises. he just bankrupts Bruce Wayne. So I guess they have done that. So shame on me. But still, in this one's case, like it definitely seems like he does have that element of like I am the smartest guy in the room. He's definitely not the like dapper gentleman type. He is just kind of more like mind hunter kind of style, like serial killer bullshit. Which I think while it might be a little tired feeling, I think that actor in particular is going to do it really well, just because that actor is weird and creepy as fuck.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to see. I wonder something that for me, which in and of itself ties into the character and how he's portrayed, is the motivation that he has.
Yeah.
Because depending on what you go to, sometimes he just uses it to explicitly steal money or jewels from a museum. But I like the kind of guy who literally is just, he doesn't care about other people. He doesn't have emotions for others, so he puts everyone in danger. It's like another side of the Joker, where Joker's playing a game with Batman. The Riddler's doing the same thing, but not because he's having fun with it and he thinks like, you complete me or whatever, but just to prove that he's smarter than him.
Yeah.
And he really doesn't have a lot of other motivation outside of the odd, like his origin in Batman the Animated Series is he invented something and a corporate dickhead stole it from him. So he wants to kill that guy.
Fair.
Fair enough. You do you, Nigma.
I imagine it might be something to that end in this one as well, but it definitely seems like he's trying to portray himself more as like this kind of, anti-establishment, like borderline anarchist type, where he's like revealing a bunch of like this like corruption in the city and that sort of thing. But I imagine there's a very selfish goal in the end of it. Otherwise, you can't make your villain, too relatable. Otherwise, whoa, what if people start asking questions?
Yeah,
I'm getting too real. But it definitely seems like that could be where it's leaning for his characterization in this one. I will say they have at least had a certain amount of restraint when it comes to revealing stuff. Like, they still in the trailers have not directly shown the actor's face, even though we all know what the fucking actor is.
Right.
So like it's at least having some restraint, and like it's doing good things with its trailer and like its promotional stuff. That makes me confident for it's going to be a pretty quality movie. So like we shall see where that goes. I am still hesitant to think about how what's his fuck, Robert Pattinson will be as Batman. I still think it's the best casting choice in the world, just because it's like, hey, vampire guy. I think that's hilarious as hell, and I think it's a very well done. It's a very good choice for it ultimately. But as far as how it'll actually work out, who can say? Yeah.
No, I'm at least interested for that aspect. I will hold Riddler criticism until seeing the movie, I guess. I did just zip through the most recent trailer, and there's dialogue and stuff in there, but still not a lot of him, like you were just saying. So
right.
We'll see. We will see.
Also, John Turturro's in it, apparently.
I love some John Turturro talking about a Coen Brothers staple.
Yeah, he plays Carmine Falcone. So, like, one of the Falcone... Of course,
the Falcone family.
You gotta have the Falcone family and and all the Batman stuff, so you have some, like, fodder.
It's nice when they bring in some of the mob style stuff like that, because a lot of times you get so lost in the supervillain aspect of it, you can forget. That's why, like, with Into the Spider-Verse, the main villain being Kingpin is I thought was so interesting. Because obviously he holds a lot of power, but he's not like a costumed weirdo. I mean, they turned him into a weirdo by making him a giant brick with a tiny head in the middle of his body.
Right. Which, in all fairness, in all the other portrayals of him, he's not that far off from that.
No, he's close. He's close to a more realistic portrayal, I guess, of a giant sumo wrestler man.
Yeah. He's still somehow like borderline bulletproof. They never really explain that part. They kind of get into it a little bit in the Daredevil series, mainly just for the fact of like he's just a tough kid, but mainly just because he kind of had it because his father was a piece of shit. That's about it. Otherwise it's just like this motherfucker's just big somehow. It's like he's just kind of like that.
The one thing everyone has been losing their minds over is, I haven't watched it, but apparently Kingpin is one of the heavy hitters, or like the villain in the Hawkeye series. So they're like, Kingpin is in the universe, and he is mostly known to be a Spider-Man villain. So they're like, oh, maybe he'll show up in the next Spider-Man thing. So I know that
I also know that they've explicitly brought back the guy who played Daredevil as well.
Yeah.
So like I'm sure Daredevil's going to get kind of another thing. But I will say, someone made a joke about this because I did see this. That they like one of the scenes in Hawkeye is there's a scene where Kingpin is standing over a character who's like in a car or something, and they put the caption of you better be glad we're not on Netflix. The last guy who was in this position lost his head. Because like that's kind of how I'm feeling about the situation of Daredevil and the Punisher and everything. They were some violent fucking shows, and they can't do that anymore because it's explicitly part of Disney now. And
that's sad.
That sucks. Yeah, that sucks because I loved that about those shows. The fact that they were able to just go so absolutely buck wild violent. I was like, yeah, let's do it. It's like the exact opposite of what DC does with their stuff, where the TV shows are all weirdly twee and kind of uninteresting, and the movies are like super violent and over the top.
Oh my god.
That's not to say I liked the more recent DC movies, but they at least did something.
Yeah. So we already kind of talked about it, but I had it open in another tab and I just happened to go over to it.
Yeah.
Hotel Transylvania 4 does not have Adam Sandler in it. Which
I don't know how to feel about that.
Surprises me. I had no idea. The guy in the trailer sounds just like him, but it's this guy Brian Hull.
Huh.
American voice actor, impressionist, and YouTuber. Okay.
Oh no.
Cool.
I gotta tell you
get him
right
in
now,
the movie.
I don't know if I've mentioned on the show before, but I'm sure I have at some point. If ever in my life I am ever like listed under the title of YouTuber, I want you to come find me and shoot me because I'm clearly being held hostage. Because
you've been uploading videos I don't know about.
Like, if all of a sudden it's just like, hey, if I ever willingly call myself a YouTuber, if ever it seems like I'm willingly calling myself a YouTuber, I am being held at gunpoint, and I request that I be shot and killed.
Yeah, you're a pod person,
right?
I get it.
Yeah. So like, it is either I've been kidnapped and someone else is doing it in my stead, or I am being coerced for either through blackmail or someone's threatening a family member or something like that. It will never be something willingly.
Okay, I will keep an eye out for that then.
Cool, thank you. This is my version of my do not resuscitate.
Ooh. I just realized I haven't even made it through past January on this fucking list.
Oh god, there's so much. I'm
Moonfall. The Roland Emmerich Moonfall. He's always got to have something blowing up or
that one looks at least
destroying
silly.
the planet.
The latest trailer I've seen for it at least looks like silly. It looks like they're having some fun with it. So. Like, literally, the song in the trailer is Bad Moon Rising. It's like, all right, that's funny.
Good. Great.
But, yeah, I don't know how to feel about that one beyond that. I was like, it just looks silly and fun. Let's go for it. I think what I might try to do is I'm going to go down just this list of posters I seem to see here, and I'm just going to name them off, and I'm going to name off the ones that make me... How do I put this? Lose hope for humanity.
Okay.
Well, maybe not humanity as a whole, but it just makes me lose hope for just like entertainment as a whole, I guess. So let's see. Marvel's Morbius, which has Jared Leto as a vampire guy.
That's the one I got the trailer for at before No Way Home. My dad was literally next to me like, who the fuck is that?
Yeah.
What is that? Oh, he's a vampire. Well, because my dad likes to talk, but...
Of course.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's the Uncharted movie coming out, which I think looks really bad because I like the series and I hate Tom Holland. I don't hate him, but I don't think he's a good Nathan Drake. Let's see. It's kind of weird.
What would you cast Tom Holland as? You don't like him as Nathan Drake, you don't like him as Spider-Man. What would you give to him? If you were casting a pre-existing property.
Anemic Victorian child. That's all I can think of, honestly. He does not look like he belongs in this century. He is older than me, and it does not look like it even remotely.
Is he older than you?
Very slightly, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I am like a year older than you too.
Yeah,
okay. Because I was like, I'm older than him.
Yeah, he's probably between us.
Okay, yeah, he bridges the gap.
Yes, he is the missing link. There is apparently going to be another Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Netflix exclusive. Fantastic.
Fan-fucking-tastic. Avatar 2, which the splash art for it is the exact same concept art I've seen advertised for it for like 5 years, it feels like.
That movie is not coming out.
Yeah.
It can't possibly come out. I'm sorry.
It looks bad. Oh yeah, another Fantastic Beasts, Secrets of Dumbledore, because my god, we need to keep giving that motherfucking asshole, J.K. Rowling more money. Secrets of Dumbledore? I don't know. Like, I truly don't care. I fucking hate Harry Potter so goddamn much. Let's see. There's another Scream movie, which, like, I just think there's too many.
I don't understand. Yeah, Scream 5, when that came out, it was like the big comeback because they're like, there's a 5th Scream movie. I remember because my mother's a big fan of the franchise, or at least her and my dad watched them a lot early on when they were coming out. So I remember we had like a movie night when Scream 5 came out, and now there's another one, and based on the trailer, it seems like it's trying to do the exact same thing they did with Scream 5 just like 15 years ago, or however long ago that was. Yeah. So. I'm realizing now that with this list that I'm kind of listing up, what I should be doing is movies that are movies that are remakes / the overdue sequels that we are going to have to deal with. So before we get into that, the new Nick Cage film coming out April 22 of next year, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Oh, yeah, that.
I saw a clip. I guess the movie's not out, so it was probably a clip from the trailer, but it definitely wasn't a whole trailer.
Yeah.
I guess it's Nick Cage plays himself being heavily in debt, which he is in real life.
Yes.
Just acting out scenes from his movies with a guy who he's like performing at his birthday party.
I've seen the trailer for it, and it looks interesting enough. It doesn't look bad, at least.
Keep giving Nick Cage all this weird shit that he has to do because he bought all those castles and dinosaur skulls. Keep giving him things like Pig and Willy's Wonderland and this thing, because I will watch them and love them.
Yeah, like Pig, I still need to see Pig. Apparently it was really good.
I liked it.
Really?
Didn't I bring that up on the show?
I don't know if you did, actually.
Oh.
If you did, it was brief.
Well, I did... I did like Pig. It's goofy fun. It's like Taken, but with a truffle pig. And nice. Nick Cage. So.
Well, I mean, like, that one I'm at least borderline excited for. Yes, let's see if I can tell all the ones that are remakes that we're going to have to deal with. I'm going to do the ones that at least just, like, don't give me hope. Things like Lightyear, I'm at least tentatively excited for just because it looks interesting. It looks like something kind of new that I wouldn't have expected. I'm willing to give it a shot.
You mean things like Sneakerella?
What?
The upcoming American musical comedy film? A reimagining of Cinderella?
Well, you've mentioned it now, so, like, that's all I don't want to have to say another word about that, because that just, like, that wouldn't stop me dead in my tracks. So I will instead say, let's just see here. I think technically Orphan might actually fit within that block. Well, it might not quite hit the 15-year mark, but, you know. See, Avatar 2 thankfully doesn't, so we don't have to worry about it. Well, though, I don't want to have to think about that. I cannot imagine Avatar being more than 15 years old because that makes me feel old. Scream, obviously, you can't because it's been less than 15 years. But Hocus Pocus 2, apparently.
Yes. And it has the original cast, and you know how much I like Kathy Najimy, so yeah, I'm actually tentatively excited for that.
That one I'm not, because I just don't like the original. It's only happening because people are so weirdly nostalgic for it.
I recall liking it, but yeah, it has been a while, so.
This one I'm just not sure how to feel about. Legally Blonde 3. Like,
unnecessary.
Unnecessary. Fully unnecessary. Let's see. Top Gun Maverick, which I don't like for the simple fact of I have a history with the original film that I don't like to discuss.
Which is fair, but we will probably end up discussing the movies themselves whenever that finally comes out. It was supposed to come out in 2020, and now has been moving for quite some time. Yes.
There's going to be another Jackass movie, which I think we might technically be able to do, but I really don't want to have to do Jackass.
That's another one that's been rolling. I remember I don't remember. I just re-listened to the 2020 episode today, but we talked about that last year because it was supposed to come out this year.
Yes.
I remember discussing Steve-O's Killer Karaoke game show.
Yeah.
Okay, so real quick, this is something that I have a problem with, and it's a really dumb problem, but it actually pisses me off. So we're supposed to get this animated movie in May of next year, DC League of Super Pets. And the first thing that sort of throws me off is, so the main characters are Crypto, the super dog, of course, and Ace the Bat Hound, voiced by Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Kevin Hart, respectively. I do not care about the friendship the two of them have. I'm sorry, internet. It doesn't make me feel warm and fuzzy like everyone else supposedly does and finds so hilarious.
Yeah.
I just don't buy into it.
There's gonna be another Pinocchio.
But that.
Sorry, I saw that and I had that came out. I'm sorry. Continue.
I have one more point and then we can talk about the new Pinocchio.
Okay, sorry.
But no, it's fine. This is a really minor gripe, but it pisses me off. It lists all these other people that are voicing like these superpowered pets, like PB is a pot-bellied pig who can grow in size. Chip is a squirrel with lightning powers. Natasha Lyonne plays Merton, who is a turtle who gets super speed. Number one, that is not clever. It is not clever. We have done this a million times with slow creatures. We just had Turbo like a decade ago.
Which is soon enough, honestly.
A fast snail. We don't need it. But also, there's already an actual character in canon who has interacted with Crypto and Ace, and it is Streaky the Super Cat. Why did we delete that character in favor of an extremely old joke about a turtle being fast?
Yeah.
Pisses me off. Okay, that's all I had to say.
Yeah, I mean, like, I couldn't even. I couldn't even tell you what the hell else I could possibly say about Pinocchio because, like, why?
So
why?
I'm gonna look it up because oh my god, Pinocchio doesn't show up on my list.
Well, let me try out that myself.
Pinocchio 2022. Pinocchio 2021. Oh, that's not a Disney one. Okay.
I've got it open at least.
Yeah, I do too now.
Well, it's apparently got Robert Downey Jr. in it, and Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks is Geppetto.
Oh my god!
And what the fuck?
Keegan Michael Key, Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt is Jiminy. Why, of all people, why Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
So that's the live action one. This one we actually talked about last year, this Pinocchio 2022 animated film with Ewan McGregor, John Turturro, Guillermo del Toro helming the screenplay.
Yeah.
So we're getting two Pinocchios next year. One is the Disney live action curse, and the other one is just another animated adaptation with a del Toro screenplay.
Are we going to have to do that's going to be a new one of having two remakes of the same property released in the same year.
Yeah, at least for us.
Yeah, for us at least. Yeah, that's a weird one.
Yeah, I don't know what to do about that.
We might just need to do a triple feature on that one.
Well, we've done it before, so
yeah. God, that's fucking weird. Yeah, like apparently there's also going to be a Rescue Rangers movie, which okay.
Dude, that movie looks like straight ass. It looks like its characters interact with it's what the Tom and Jerry movie that came out last year or this past year just was, where it's like these two characters are like helping someone with a park. And I don't know if they've changed it, but last time I looked into it, Gadget's not in it. Monterey Jack's not in it. So I'm like, why are you calling this a Rescue Rangers movie? Call it the Chip and Dale movie. Because you deleted all the Rescue Rangers except for Chip and Dale.
Yeah,
Trash.
I don't get why they do things anymore. That's all I can. That's it. That's all I can say about it. It's like I don't know why they do things anymore. I don't know. I don't get it anymore.
I don't know. It's bizarre. We're still supposed to get this Bob's Burgers movie in May of next year. There have been no trailers. I have no idea what the plot is supposed to be. I don't know how you could make a movie out of it because the show is not that bizarre. So that has me worried.
It's also not that good. Like
I do like it. I like the writing. I think it's ugly.
It is not worthy. I don't
think so.
Like The Simpsons, I could at least defend is because it at least is like kind of weirdly action packed and it's got like a lot of like wacky shit going on. But Bob's Burgers is so like reserved by comparison.
Exactly. Like I say, I stick up for Bob's Burgers even though I think it looks extremely ugly. I forget who said this, but it looks like it's animated in a moving car. It actually might have been Seth MacFarlane that said that, but I regardless of who it came from, I do kind of think that's apt. But I will stick up for the writing, at least in that show. But does it deserve a movie? I don't think so. I don't know what they could possibly do to fill out an hour and a half. Minions: The Rise of Gru.
Oh, yeah, that one.
I thought that came out earlier this year. I was seeing trailers for that back in 2020, and it hadn't come out yet.
I gotta be honest with you, I've been seeing a lot of trailers for all of these, and, like, it's just been the same shit of, like, people, like, it hasn't been released because people are dying of illness, and, like, I really just kind of wish these were just canceled at a certain point, because I don't...
Yeah.
I don't want to do this shit anymore, man. None of these movies I'm super looking forward to, other than Sonic, obviously.
I mean, Sonic 2 is the bit... Oh, great. Mission Impossible 7.
I don't care.
Sonic really is the only thing. Like, I don't care about any of the... Creed 3...
Do another Creed? Why? The second one sucks.
Creed 3, November of next year.
Fucking, alright. Again, the Batman looks cool. Like, that much at least I like, but... I really have not seen a list of movies this kind of like either bland or depressing for a while.
Yeah.
Like so far I've seen 3 things in total that I'm like cool with. First those 2 and then Everything Everywhere All at Once. But
I guess the new Mario movie I'm intrigued with, but just because we still know nothing about it. Almost nothing about it.
I am like morbidly curious to see how Chris Pratt will do. Like I'm almost convinced that he's going to show up and he's actually, like, everyone's giving him shit because it's like, he's, like, the least Italian-sounding motherfucker on the planet. And the fact that Mario has been such a devoid of personality character for decades now, simply for the fact of being able to make him marketable. And I am strangely of the mind that I think Chris Pratt is going to do weirdly well with this role. Like, he's going to show up, he's actually going to have, like, a good accent, and he's actually going to be a pretty compelling character. And I think the movie's going to fail for other reasons. And I'm deeply curious to see how that goes.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it's going to fare. I think Jack Black as Bowser is funny.
That's fantastic.
Charlie Day as Luigi. I remember having a field day with people just... That seemed to be the main takeaway. It's like, well, why don't we just take everyone from It's Always Sunny and make them the cast? Yeah. Caitlin Olsen as Birdo.
What the fuck?
It's like my favorite image. I think I even put it in the group chat. It's Caitlin Olsen as Birdo.
Yeah, I think you did. Yeah, I love the one with like Pepe Sylvia, but it's just with Charlie in green out in the green outfit.
Yeah,
it's just like I'm really I'm strangely curious about that one. I'm not looking forward to it. Don't get me wrong. I do not have any desire to enjoy it. I want to see what happens, though.
I guess I'm kind of looking forward to it because it gives us an excuse to do a Mario episode.
That is true. We can talk
because then we can talk about the Bob Hoskins, John Leguizamo film.
That is, yeah, that's a good point. Didn't even think about that.
Honestly, the only other thing I want to bring up on this list, and it's not to upset, but it's just to drive home the point that you were talking about that we were discussing earlier, and that's the Flash movie that's coming out in November of next year.
Oh yeah.
Primarily because it's about the Flash, who runs so fast that he can change the timeline and dimension hop. And so Michael Keaton is Batman. And so, it's like DC doing their No Way Home and pulling in some elements of previous DC-related media. It's not nearly as big, or at least it doesn't seem like it based on the cast list, but this movie is a little less than a year out, so there's tons of details we probably don't have yet. It may be bigger than that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll see. I don't give a shit about the Flash as a character or as a movie. Sorry.
And that's fine. Like, it's kind of a dull character. Like, I think I'm going to say that I have the full mind that when they first came up with the Flash, it was literally just supposed to be a dude that can go quick. That's it. And because all the other characters, even Superman himself, are so broadly complex and like have their own shit going on, that they had to start coming up with insane bullshit to make the Flash at least comparable, and they overcorrected way too hard. Like, all the weird bullshit that the Flash gets up to, like all the different like weird villains who can like break physics on a molecular level or some shit that he deals with, like this whole idea of the speed force, and there's also the slow force and the strong force and all this other bullshit going on. It's like, I know like with Green Lantern they were kind of able to get away with that because like originally it was just the color spectrum, but then they started adding like actual like the emotional spectrum to reflect it, and that's honestly clever. That's honestly a clever way of integrating that. But all this other shit for the Flash is just like, it's like, what the fuck is going on? And so it's opened up so many weird, like, not even just like more than plot holes, just holes in general.
I've only seen, and this was years ago when we were in college, but I've only seen the first episode of the Flash Netflix show. I really liked the GIF that was like the shit posts that were going on a couple months ago, where it was him and some girl running horribly. To mimic running fast, and he looks behind him and screams in this really weird scream. Yeah, it's so specific. I don't know if you've seen any of those. I'm sure I
have. But like the TV show, the TV show of the Flash is terrible. I've seen bits and pieces. It's like such dog shit. Steph loves those shows though. I don't understand that. Our mutual friend Stephanie, she loves that stuff.
Zach was watching them for a while, but even he admitted they weren't great. I think he was just like wanting DC related content, which is fair.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah. So I don't. Yeah. And the DC universe is in such a fucking state of disarray right now. Like Ben Affleck having dropped out, fucking Henry Cavill having dropped out, and everything. It's just like, and like how everyone was like, was the Snyder re-release of Justice League, that was this past year, right?
It was this past year. Everyone loved it, even though it's like 18 hours long.
And then, like, I saw, like, what trended for me with what I saw was, like, everyone really loved it for, like, a week. And then, like, the basic level voices of basic criticism were finally able to get a word in edgewise. And we're like, actually, no, it still sucks. And it's like, and then everyone realized, yeah, it still sucks. And so
but it's longer. There's more.
It's more. And there's, like, original vision and, like, all this other stuff. And, like, I will admit, like, apparently, like, Zack Snyder did kind of get done dirty with, like, what happened. Like, he kind of got, like, undercut with his situation. But still, like, there is a literal scene with like Jared Leto's the Joker going, "We live in a society," and it was like, wow, they really said the damn thing.
Okay, cool.
And I just like the moment, like, because everyone, especially like on Reddit and shit, were like just, like, falling over themselves to praise it the instant it came out without even like giving it that much of a thought. And then like not 2 weeks later, literally people are like, "No, this one still sucks." It's just, it was so chaotically funny to me of like, yeah, oh no, who gives a shit? Like this weird movie with like no preparation in comparison to Marvel's insane level planning. It's like, yeah, it sucks. It's like,
what do you want?
What do you fucking do? And you know, like, and I think like Wonder Woman 1984 also came out this year, and like that one also got pretty well panned. And it was also had this like whole weird subplot where like basically a dude got like kidnapped to be her lover again or some shit. It was something really weird how they justified like bringing that character back. And it was just like, and everyone was like, wow, this is super sexual assaulty. It's like, and like everyone was talking about, it's like, wow, there is no care put into any of this shit, is there?
Just, they need to burn it down. They really just need to burn their fucking universe down, which they're kind of doing with the new Batman, thankfully.
Yeah.
Or at least I hope they are. I hope they're not trying to tie it into other bullshit. It doesn't look like they are, but again...
I mean, I gotta say, like, I think that
only time will tell.
I think the fact that, you know, Affleck and Cavill dropped out means that their universe is pretty well burned. Like, I know there's going to be
I hope so, but they could just recast. I don't know, because... Well, wait, actually, let me go back to this. Where's the Flash movie?
I will also say I did see another thing on here that there is still going to be another Aquaman movie, which I actually am okay with because I really like the first one.
Okay. I just pulled this up. The Flash film that isn't coming out till November of next year, Ben Affleck is in it as Batman.
What?
Before the Flash goes through the time stream and meets Michael Keaton Batman.
Oh, okay.
So he's at least in that. He might have already filmed that stuff and now he's done. But the fact that they're even including him is like they're still trying to tie the Flash into this broken universe that they created.
Yeah.
Just garbage. Let Ben Affleck go. Let Henry Cavill do the Witcher stuff. He's much better at that because he knows it. Like just restart it and don't go in with the mindset of trying to compete with the Marvel Cinematic Universe because, frankly, it's starting to kill itself anyways.
Exactly,
just make standalone movies for interesting ideas, like Black Adam is supposed to come out next year. I know very little about Black Adam. I know enough so that like I could maybe pass off the knowledge of someone who cares. But I don't know if they're trying to tie that into this broken universe as well, or if that's a standalone thing. I don't know. But that's the best thing they can do, is just...
The one thing, like, it has been the same thing I've been saying for years, and that DC just needs to listen to what I say, is that there is a distinct difference between Marvel and DC. That being, Marvel is about human beings who learn to become gods, and DC is about gods who learn to become human beings. Which is to say, in Marvel movies, it starts off with people who are either, even if they are very highly powered or have a lot of things going for them, they... ultimately are cowed and have to learn to become greater than themselves, to become, you know, basically these paragons of the world, basically to have to do these incredibly great feats. In DC, it's these absurdly powerful beings who have to bring themselves down to a human level in order to deal with the consequences of themselves as these godlike characters. Among this, I count Batman because he is the most overpowered bullshit in the world, and B, he's so rich it basically counts as a god. And so the difference with all this is that the Marvel movies, it tends to be a matter of building up stakes to a very reasonable level. Like, it took years and years to build up to this point of, like, having all these, like, interconnected characters, and it was awesome in a way. A lot of it was kind of bullshit, but it was at least, like, it felt like it was earned. In DC, and what I believe to be the best DC movie of the recent ones, in the first Aquaman, in this movie of a standalone movie, it ends with him riding on the back of a gigantic fucking kraken in just in the middle of an undersea war. That's basically just like, hey, we turn it up to 11, then we break the amplifier, we build a new one, and we turn it up to 20. That is how DC does its shit. It goes balls to the wall, and then it breaks the wall. And along the way, it also has like very heartfelt stories about these people reaching humility and doing all this sort of shit, but it does it in the most badass way possible. Like, that's how Batman's able to do all this crazy shit in the, you know, OSHA nightmare that is Gotham. It's like it's all this insane, like, you have to go just above and beyond and be completely unironic about it. And that's what that's what Aquaman did correctly. It just decided, screw it, giant kraken, ride on its back, y'all fucking suck. It's like,
yeah.
It just decided, we are going to have absolutely zero irony. And it was cool.
I think for the most part as well, they get too caught up in just... And this is a general complaint because it applies to Marvel to an extent too, but the only character it really shows with is Spider-Man because they've done him so many times. But they worry too much about getting the origin story across, which a lot of people just don't give a shit about.
Yeah.
Not for these well-trodden characters that have existed since the 40s. Like, people don't care. For something like Black Adam that, like, 5 people know, sure.
Yeah.
But
then, like, Shazam.
Yeah. We don't need to see Batman do this stuff again. And to its benefit, there's probably going to be some flashback scene in the next Batman movie because there literally always is. But at least it's starting off and it's just Batman is Batman, which is good.
You know what would be really, like, kind of bold if they did it? Is that if this was actually tied in with the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie, and that they're meant to be the same universe, in which case we've already kind of got the flashback scene, so we don't have to deal with it again.
That would be interesting.
I would not be surprised if at the end it does kind of do that thing. Like it did that thing at the end of Batman Begins, where it reveals, like, yeah, Joker's going to be in the next movie. If they did a similar thing, but it literally has Joaquin Phoenix. I'm not guaranteeing that that's going to be the case because the Gothams in each of those movies are very different. Like in Joker, it very much just seemed like New York. And it was meant to be very grounded in reality. Whereas obviously the Batman is very over the top by comparison. So if they do that, it's going to maybe feel kind of off. But I wouldn't be surprised.
The only weird thing about tying that in with the Joker movie is I thought that again, something I already mentioned on the podcast, I thought that felt kind of forced, but just in the way that I can't picture the Joker being like 20 years older than Batman. It's a very odd thought that I can't
I think
register in my brain, really.
I know there was a recent thing in the comics that was kind of controversial where they actually established that there's been multiple Jokers over time.
There's 3 of them running around.
Yeah.
In the timeline.
And
the gangster, the comedian, and the psychopath, I think, is what their labels are.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe did something like that. That maybe... And they actually even kind of do it in the Gotham TV series, which I still hate, but still, it kind of has its own thing. But they kind of establish in the Joker movie that he kind of creates this movement of these guys, and that maybe it just ends up being another accolade following under him that ends up becoming like the Bruce Wayne's Joker,
right?
But
I could see that too.
But at the same time, that also feels like on its own cop out.
Yeah. Well, at least they could bring in the chemical stuff. Maybe they could introduce the Red Hood aspect, which is
that'd be cool.
By and large the most popular Joker origin story.
But then, to be fair, also Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker was fucking phenomenal. So
yeah,
it's just he's a very different character though, so it'd be kind of hard to tie it in.
Yeah, we'll see where that goes. I guess.
I bet we're gonna get a whole new other actor to play Joker again. It feels like we've had 5 in the last few years.
We have.
Yeah, actually. If you don't count, like, voice actors.
Right, yeah. Well, then it, like, skyrockets.
Yeah, if we
have so many Joker voice actors.
Yeah, Jesus.
All right.
So we are right now, yeah.
I think that's pretty much most of the movie talk. Movie for next year talk. Before we get into obituaries, brief talk without going too much into it on Sonic 2, because we didn't really touch on it outside of the fact that we've seen the trailer. We're excited for it. I'm probably going to visit you to see it, and I got that wrong. It's not the 22nd of April. It's the 8th of April, so it works even better.
Yay!
So we'll have to turn that into like a weekend. I'll have to clear it with you.
Yeah, sure. It'll be fine with me.
But there's some updates that I wasn't aware of beforehand that I only just now have information on. So Ben Schwartz is returning as Sonic and Idris Elba is Knuckles. Woo. What I didn't know is Colleen O'Shaughnessy is voicing Tails. which is like a huge victory for the voice acting like community.
What, like I know I know that that's a big deal, but remind me of what it is though. I'm trying to remember.
She isn't like a celebrity being cast in the role. She just is Tails. She's been the voice of Tails for like the past 15 years or something.
Yeah, I remember that now.
And I'm like, I hope she gets paid the fucking movie money that Idris Elba and Ben Schwartz are getting paid.
Yeah, they fucking better pay her that well. Like, if not, like, there will be riots. I want there to be riots. She deserves it.
A huge victory, as Rob Paulson would say.
Yeah, that kicks ass.
So, I'm excited for that. But also, so the voice cast is listed, the live action cast is listed, and at the bottom, there's a brief line linked to a Digital Spy article. Additionally, Shamar Moore will appear in an undisclosed role. There's a role that they are deliberately hiding from us, and my mind is running wild over what that could possibly be.
Who is Shamar Moore?
I don't know who he is. An American actor and fashion model, mostly known for The Young and the Restless, Criminal Minds, and on the show SWAT, which has been running from 2017 till now, which is surprising because I've never heard of it. But just some guy. But I'm like,
oh, that guy.
Why are they keeping this a secret? Who is he? Is this live action, or are they gonna bring in like Fang the Sniper? So that's probably too on the obscure end. But like, I'm wondering who this could possibly be.
Oh dear God, what if he's Shadow?
Shadow appears in the end. That would be cool.
Oh,
set up for
dear
Sonic
Christ.
3. I mean, honestly, when you look at it and it's like, oh, SBO, Vector, Charmy B, Shadow is the most likely option.
Yeah.
If it were to be any Sonic character, it would probably be that.
Huh. Yeah, that worries me of that concept, because I think we've talked about this when we talked about this before.
Yes.
With the Sonic canon up to this point, shall we say, is rough. Not least of which because a lot of the fandom stuff that has grown out of it, like, you know, that kind of mold or bacteria that subsists on radioactive waste. And a lot of it can kind of be drawn back to when they started adding in these extra characters. We got to the point of having Amy in, like, the Sonic Boom game, like the original game and everything. And that was kind of like the widest part it got to, that nothing really happened too much of it. But once it got into the 3D games, that's when it started getting weird. And the first game with Sonic Adventure didn't get too bad, but once Shadow got introduced, that's when shit got wild. And that is what concerns me with this.
Shadow the Hedgehog, Maria.
Yeah, because so far it has just been a pretty innocent tale. Like, I'm sure with the addition of Knuckles, there's going to be some, like, added moral complexity and that sort of thing. Like, why, like, the echidnas may have been, like, aren't, like, present, that sort of thing. Bring up the Master Emerald and how they might relate it back to Sonic. That's its own thing. But with Shadow, it adds in the one thing that few franchises can survive, and that is teenage angst. And once you add that in, it is the catalyst that can draw in so much weird shit. And that's where all the weird shit from Sonic came from. Because all of the stuff leading up to that was pretty innocent. Like, we had, like, you know, the chows and, like, all the different stuff. We kind of had Chaos and the Sonic Adventure, and that was all on its own pretty straightforward shit. Like, shit, like, Chaos was just kind of this water dude who was just kind of, like, misunderstood and he didn't have a voice and everything. But once you added in the emo fringe that is Shadow, oh god.
Yeah, it kind of turned into a nightmare. And even Knuckles himself as a character showing up in Sonic and Knuckles 3, like, that wasn't even too terribly complicated because he was just the guardian of the emeralds on Angel Isle. Like,
yeah,
the ancient Echidna tribe didn't even really show up until Sonic Adventure. Like, yes. that series, one, and then to a greater extent, two, both of them just broke the entire series.
Yes. And obviously the addition, like, people many would argue, like, the death of the series came when it became 3D. I disagree. I think the game is jank as hell. And that's what a big reason it wasn't necessarily enjoyed. The game was brought low by the addition of all this other weird shit. And
yeah,
while I think a lot can be done with it, and I think the fact that Idris Elba himself even stated himself that he went into lengths to find information to understand his character to be able to do it well, gives me hope
so
for
bad.
Which, yeah, like I shudder to think about what he may have come across. It's like I really just want to be able to go up to him and be like, "Don't search too hard. Like you're gonna find some weird places."
If you see Ken Penders' name,
run.
Turn around.
You've gone too far. For the love of God, do not go near DeviantArt. We don't speak of it anymore. But like the fact that he is like talked about and dedicated to like making this a good character gives me hope for what they're doing with that. But I am so deeply concerned that if they go much further, they are going to start approaching the event horizon. And I want this series to be good. I want it to continue to be just so unironically good for a while, at least. But, like, if we're getting to Shadow territory, they are going to have to tread carefully.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we are going to see a rebirth of this bullshit, man. Like, we talked about it in the original as well, like, when they had the original model of Sonic and how hellish it looked. And there was a brief scene where he had his shoes off in the movie. Uh-huh. And because the original model didn't wear socks, that means we would have had a truly unfiltered look at Sonic the Hedgehog's bare feet, and that would have been too much for the internet. Like, something would have died. Yeah. And the fact that we avoided that was it was like avoiding like on fucking like the Cuban Missile Crisis. Like shit was so ready to blow, and we immediately avoided it. Yeah.
If they bring in shit, not to belabor this too much, we got to get to the deaths already.
Yeah.
But if they bring in Shadow, the best way to do it is just Dr. Robotnik tries to create a clone of Sonic, and maybe he's a little edgy and darker. That's it. If you start getting into the weird Maria relationship stuff, if it's not... I mean, it would have to be a clone created by Dr. Robotnik, because the first movie sets up a new origin for Sonic, as opposed to, we're using technology made by my grandfather, Gerald Robotnik, which then added a whole bunch of convoluted history to the thing.
Yes.
You can have the character, just keep it simple.
Yes. I think, and I do think that they are trying their best with that. Because obviously, like you said, they changed the origin and everything for Sonic, so I think ultimately they are doing their best to try and do that. I wouldn't be surprised if they brought in elements of, Robotnik's grandfather and possibly even Maria, but I think it might... I'm hoping that they do it as a more, on a more soft-hearted level of, Shadow is, basically traumatized from his experience, and Maria is this one connection to sanity and, hope. And, maybe it's actually, a thing that helps him bring him back from the brink. Instead of it just being this weird, pseudo love interest sort of bullshit going on that I don't know what they were implying towards. I don't know.
Yeah.
I
agree with that.
I think there is potential with this. And the fact that they've simplified it means that they are basically just being okay, we have all these assorted pieces. We don't want to know where they came from. We just want to know how we can fit them together. And that's good enough. But I do also think that, I think maybe it'll probably lean more towards just Robotnik trying to clone Sonic.
Okay. I mean, I'd be fine with that. That's easy enough.
Because they even have that, they even have his, quill from the previous movie. I guarantee that's what they're going to do. Is, the whole thing of, he can generate power from that one little quill. It's he's going to try to clone Sonic with that.
Which is, I'm sure that's how he gets back from the Mushroom Hill Zone.
Yeah.
You know what? I love the fact that we were talking about the movie after we had seen it. We were just discussing theories. The fact that Tails shows up at the end, but also we called Knuckles being in it before the shot even came out because of Robotnik going to the mushroom zone, which is in Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
Yep. And they even in the trailer even says Robotnik found the source of ultimate power, and it's the Master Emerald, and it's that's exactly what fucking happened. Holy shit, we called it.
Super exciting.
Oh, man.
Exciting stuff.
I am genuinely super excited for this. I still remember when they first revealed that it was Idris Elba for Knuckles, and I sent you an image. I was like, dude!
Holy shit!
Are you seeing this?
See, here we were all depressed talking about the state of movies in 2022. We just had to remember Sonic. That's
gonna be a Sonic
literally
movie.
it.
That's literally all I need. So on this happy note, let's get to the people who fucking died.
Mm-hmm.
Woo!
Ooh. All right. I organized it a bit better this year. I broke it up into a couple of categories here.
Fantastic. Are the categories of how they died, or
no. I didn't really look up. I know how some of these people died, but I didn't look up details for all of them. So starting off is just sort of a miscellaneous group of famous individuals that have died. So Larry King is the first of those. I actually forgot that he died this year. I thought he died last year.
Yeah, same.
But that's because he passed very early in January. So,
yep,
almost last year.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Larry King, television radio host. He portrayed himself in a lot of shows and movies, specifically relating to the podcast in Ghostbusters and The Jackal. He sort of played himself, so we've seen him there. Moving on from Mr. King, Siegfried Fischbacher died, who was one half of the Siegfried and Roy magician duo. So now they are no more because his partner Roy Horn passed away less than a year ago from COVID complications. Yeah. Which is unfortunate, but now both Siegfried and Roy, they are gone and have been for a little while.
See if else.
Moving on from that, Rush Limbaugh and Prince Philip both died.
Woo!
Moving on, Eric Carle passed away. This is the last of the miscellaneous category. Of course, author and illustrator of the Very Hungry Caterpillar book, and he was also the illustrator of the Brown Bear series of books.
Yes. Children's literature has lost one of its best.
Yes, I definitely remember when that happened. It was very sad.
Yeah. That was that's one of those weird ones where it's like you really don't realize that how sad that is until you start to kind of think about it. We're like, oh wow, that's rough.
That's just gone. And it's one of those things where I think about movie and TV a lot in this realm, and I guess video games to accent because those are the media I interact with the most. I read books, but like children's literature is so far in the past for me that I might think about the book, but I don't think about its creator. He could have already been dead for all I knew. But then when it popped up, it was like, oh man, he's gone. You know, it's like if just tomorrow it's like, well, the author of Amelia Bedelia died. It's like, well, I have not given that any thought. Perhaps that makes it even more sad.
True,
yeah. I'm not sure to that end.
The only thing I can ever think about with Amelia Bedelia is someone made a parody comic of her where it turns into just basically body horror, and the only thing I can remember at the end is like, there is no God, there is no hope, there is only Amelia Bedelia. Like, yeah. Wow. It's like
I've got to brainstorm on this.
Oh
like, no.
Yeah. It's like, Amelia, please no. It's like it's just Amelia standing by the window smiling. It's just like horror, like brains raining outside. It's like, oh my god.
Awful.
Anyway.
Yes, so that's the end of the miscellaneous category. We'll move on to musicians. I grabbed a couple of musicians here. There's a number that died. Unfortunately, I wasn't familiar with a lot of them, and I wasn't really gonna... Here's the thing. A lot of people passed, and some of them very noteworthy, but I don't want to bring people up if we have literally nothing that we could say or relate to on them.
Yeah.
Because then it's just sort of almost like a checklist, which is maudlin and morbid. Yeah. So I only have six here.
That's fine. That's still plenty.
Yeah. But the first of these I am not that sad about. That's Phil Spector ended up dying. Songwriter and record producer that worked with the Crystals, George Harrison and John Lennon, the Ronettes, Ike and Tina Turner, the Wrecking Crew, a bunch of different groups he worked with. But he's best known for being convicted of the murder of actress Lana Clarkson in 2009.
That's where I remember him from.
Yeah, so he remained in prison until his death, of course, this year. And we just talked about him, too, on the show because he shows up as the dealer in the opening of Easy Rider.
Oh, yeah.
So we talked about him a bit on that episode.
Oh, rest in shit, asshole.
The thing that kills me, I wasn't like too caught up in the case, but everyone was just like, yeah, he did it.
Yeah.
I'm positive he did it. People that knew him, friends, it's just like, yeah, he did it.
It certainly doesn't kill you as much as Lil Hair.
That's true. Oh jeez.
I'm sorry. That was low hanging fruit. I don't even feel proud of that one.
Next, moving on from Phil Spector, DMX, of course.
Yep.
I don't engage much with rap, but if it enters the zeitgeist, it's pretty much unavoidable. Mm-hmm. So with hits like Party Up in Here, Where the Hood At, and X Gonna Give It to You, perhaps most famously here recently, he is definitely one that will be missed.
Yeah. Apparently he was regarded as a pretty good guy.
That's nice to know. You want to leave behind people that can say nice things about you. Like, a legacy's nice and all, but if you were an asshole, that kind of shrouds everything. That has a level of taint to it that is unpleasant. You don't want that.
Yeah. Being a murderer also does that.
Yeah, killing people with the guns that you have just stashed in your office isn't great.
Yeah.
But so long, DMX. Dusty Hill passed away, vocalist and bassist from ZZ Top.
Yep.
Named group. Also was Hank Hill's cousin on King of the Hill in a much maligned episode that tons of people hated.
Fair.
Just like, yes, I have a famous cousin. So... not great, but I feel like the main reason I put him on the list was, yeah, I remember that episode.
I mean, fair enough. There are worse reasons.
Broke King of the Hill history and lore. Okay. This one might mean more to me than it does you. I don't know, but Mike Nesmith died literally like 2 weeks ago. He was a member of the Monkees and therefore also a co-star of the Monkees television series. And following Davy Jones and Peter Tork, Mickey Dolenz is now the only Monkees band member that's alive, which is depressing.
Fair.
Yeah, but the Monkees, for people out there that don't know, they were basically the answer to the Beatles. It was like a comedic sort of take on that. Hey, we're the Monkees and all that jazz. Now, these two are technically musicians, but less in the pop, the actual music pop industry. These are more so connected to Broadway and movies, as we know them. But first of these, Leslie Bricusse ended up passing away. Wrote music and lyrics for a ton of musicals, including the original Dr. Dolittle, the 1970 Albert Finney Christmas Carol, which we just talked about last time, and I said I would try to watch before the end of year, and I forgot to. Oh, well. But she also wrote the music and lyrics, the main themes for Goldfinger and You Only Live Twice, those two Bond movies, and the music and lyrics for just Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, previous episode. So, all those lovely songs you enjoyed, that was the doing of Leslie Bricusse, who is now gone.
Well, that sucks.
Unfortunate. And sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, anywho.
And last of the...
It's just me being a dick, really.
Last of the musician category is probably one of the biggest, Stephen Sondheim.
Oh, yeah.
Composer, lyricist for such greats as West Side Story, Sweeney Todd, Into the Woods, and tons of other musicals that appeared on stage and then later got adapted into movies.
To varying degrees of success.
Yeah, West Side Story just got remade by Steven Spielberg. everyone being like, why did you remake a film that won Best Picture?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah. We're going to have to do that one.
Tune into future episode of They Remade It, where we talk about West Side Story.
And it's Spielberg again. God, he keeps just popping up now.
What are you doing? My favorite director.
No, man, please.
Or your favorite director, I should say.
Yeah, I figured you meant from your perspective.
But that is the last of the musician, and now the last category, slightly bigger. We'll see how we get through this, but actors and actresses that ended up passing.
Yeah.
So a couple that I threw in here for varying things that I have passing familiarity with, you possibly do too, and they're just as sad generally. But Marion Ramsey ended up passing. She was a regular on the Bill Cosby sketch comedy series Cos.
Unfortunate.
Unfortunate. Perhaps wouldn't want you to remember that, but she was on stage in Broadway productions of Hello Dobby and Eubie, among other things. And she played Sergeant Laverne Hooks in almost every single Police Academy movie. I don't know which is worse, being in Cos or being in the Police Academy franchise, but she kept coming back. So either a really good paycheck or she enjoyed what she was doing, which maybe at the end of the day, that's all you can ask for.
Maybe she held the rights to the series.
Yeah, maybe she actually created Police Academy.
Who knows? She was an interesting
I don't.
And I couldn't be bothered to check.
May she be missed. Barbara Shelley, I pulled in because she was an actress in a ton of science fiction horror movies from the 50s and 60s, among those being The Gorgon, Dracula, Prince of Darkness, Rasputin the Mad Monk, but most importantly, especially to this show, Village of the Damned, which is a potential future episode.
Ooh.
Very famous English horror film that has been remade by John Carpenter in the 90s, I want to say.
As we've seen from Wickerman, going from British made to American made, and also with the Jackal from British made to American made, it doesn't go well.
Oh, what about the Italian job?
You know what? Fair. That's it. That's. We'll see if Carpenter can even it out. Can tie the score up.
Well, from reviews that I saw, I don't think he could. But maybe we'll think differently than critics.
Yeah, everyone seems to like the original Italian job more than the remake.
Yeah, and
for some fucking reason.
don't remember which I preferred. I didn't care for either. But
I think we both ended up picking the new one.
Might have been.
I definitely picked the new
one. Next here we have Tanya Roberts. She was in a bunch of she was Stacy in the Bond film A View to a Kill, Julie Rogers in the final season of the original Charlie's Angels run, Sheena in 1984's Sheena. Most people now know her as Midge in That 70s Show.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say, I'm sort of... I've definitely seen it, but I'm more or less unfamiliar with That 70s Show. I guess Midge was the wife and then later divorced wife of the neighbor that was constantly bothering...
Yeah.
The Foreman family?
Yeah. I think that's the most that I know, though.
Okay.
I didn't watch it actively.
Tanya Roberts is gone. This one, now, definitely more pertinent to us. I was a huge fan of her career, and we have talked about her on the podcast before, that being Cloris Leachman unfortunately passed. Famous actress and comedian, of course, who was in The Last Picture Show, Spanglish, The Mary Tyler Moore Show, but who also frequently collaborated with Mel Brooks, primarily in History of the World Part 1, and she was also Frau Blucher in Young Frankenstein, which we covered last year, I want to say.
Good lady. Will be missed.
Yes. Great lady. She was still doing stuff up to, I think, like 2019. So, be active. Next up, Christopher Plummer.
Oh, yeah.
Passing away.
That was a big one.
Yeah, I had forgotten about it until I was doing the research for this. But briefly touching into it, of course, he was in a ton of Broadway productions originally. Things like Othello, Cyrano, Macbeth, King Lear. And eventually got what was his biggest break for the longest time, that being George Von Trapp in Sound of Music, alongside Julie Andrews.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, he was in A Beautiful Mind, Inside Man, Waterloo, and he was just in Knives Out. That may have been his last performance, was Knives Out.
I think so, actually.
Yeah, so.
He was also in Skyrim.
He was in Skyrim.
That's where I remember him from. Obviously, no, I remember him because he's a fantastic actor. But yeah, no, he's like the main Greybeard character, I think.
So is Charles Martinet.
Yeah.
Skyrim.
Skyrim.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Getting into some odder ones now. We have Yaphet Kotto, who is in Midnight Run, Alien, The Running Man. But he, the main thing I know him for, he was the villain Dr. Kananga in, or Kananga, I don't remember how that's pronounced, but in Live and Let Die, the James Bond movie.
Oh. Yeah, I think I remember that.
Yeah, which was a great performance.
Yes. Of course.
We lost George Siegel, who I mostly brought up because it's a big name. You know, Ship of Fools, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, Where's Papa, Roland Emmerich's 2012.
Yeah.
Everyone's favorite movie. So, unfortunately, he has gone as well. And Charles Grodin passed away. Rosemary's Baby, The Heartbreak Kid, Catch-22, Heaven Can Wait, The Great Muppet Caper.
Yep.
Lots of movies in there. Of course, the ones I'm most familiar with being Rosemary's Baby because it's a horror movie, and The Great Muppet Caper because it's a Muppet movie.
Fair enough, yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Grodin. Ned Beatty passed. Many will remember him from Deliverance. He was the father in Rudy. He played Otis Berg in Superman. He was Lotso Huggin' Bear in Toy Story 3. So he is now gone. Dustin Diamond. I don't mean to laugh. I forgot that Dustin Diamond passed away. That's just a really unfortunate story. Okay. Dustin Diamond, best known for portraying Screech in Saved by the Bell and all its various incarnations in media. But he perhaps had the most trouble following all those series because although he appeared in The Odd Thing Here or There, he filed for bankruptcy around 2022, I think. He wrote a tell-all book about the cast of Saved by the Bell that allegedly had a lot of lies in it. He had a sex tape leak. It's clear he was not doing well. He was having lots of problems. He got into a bar fight. He like allegedly stabbed a guy. Like, not doing well for Dustin Diamond. I think he's the only cast member that really did not. He had a lot of problems.
Yeah, there's always at least one.
Isn't that always the way?
Yeah, Hollywood's weird.
Yeah. Ed Asner passed away, which, I mean, talk about titans.
Yeah.
In terms of acting. Mary Tyler Moore Show and Lou Grant. He was Santa in a million different movies, but most remember him for being Santa in Elf.
Yep.
And of course, he was the voice of the old man in Up, whatever that character's name is.
Carl?
Yes, Carl.
Yeah.
So Ed Asner has now left us. I love him most as Sergeant Mike Cosgrove on Freakazoid.
Oh, yeah.
Very great deadpan delivery.
Actually, it was actually really sad because, like, Hannah and I, we were actually watching, they did that shorts series on Disney Plus of Carl and Doug.
Dog Days or Doug Days? Or
Yeah. And, like, the last episode, because they only did, like, 5 of them, and they did, the last one was this really sweet moment between the two characters. It was really bittersweet because, like at that point, he was already gone. I was like, oh no, this is really sad.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Good thing I haven't watched that series then. That'd be
it's nothing like specifically relating to like him as a guy, but he's like, he has this really touching moment with Doug and just being like, you know, like of just like Carl showing a very soft side. It was like, oh god damn it, man. This isn't cool.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
So yeah, that one probably hit me hardest out of a lot of these, simply for that. And plus, I loved Up. Up's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, we've talked about that previously as well.
Yeah.
Huge hitter. I get it.
So, that one was rough.
Sorry, everyone. I know this segment is morbid, but I feel it is worth it. It is worthwhile to get these actors' names out there. We only have 7 more in the category.
Right.
So, won't be too sad much longer. But Dean Stockwell ended up passing away. He was in a ton of things. He was in Blue Velvet, which is like... I still need to see Blue Velvet. I can't believe I have not seen it yet.
Yeah.
But he was also in Air Force One, Beverly Hills Cop 2, and he was Dr. Wellington in David Lynch's Dune, which hopefully we will cover someday.
Yeah.
So we'll be able to talk about Dean Stockwell whenever we get around to that. Whew. Gavin MacLeod ended up passing, best known for, I'll just mention Murray Slaughter on the Mary Tyler Moore Show, and Ed Asner just passed, also on Mary Tyler Moore. And he was Big Chicken on Hawaii Five-0, which I've just found funny. That tickles me.
Yeah, that's a fantastic name.
But the main reason I pulled the man is because he portrayed Captain Steubing on The Love Boat.
Oh, yeah.
Across the entire run of The Love Boat. Great show. You get a lot of comedians and character actors in there. And he was sort of a staple of that, and he is now gone.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Robert Downey Sr. ended up passing away. I don't need to mention, really, that he was the father of Robert Downey Jr. But he was also an actor, director, and cinematographer in his own right.
Yep.
The main thing that I know that he did, which is sad because it's an awful movie, is that he directed Up the Academy, which was the Mad Magazine produced movie.
Oh, yeah.
Very upsetting. I should look into his other work so that I don't just remember him for that train wreck.
Yeah, that'd be good.
That Mad Magazine literally took its name off of after it came out. No, we're not associated with that. We didn't touch that.
Nope, leave us alone. More Mad Magazine of all things.
Yeah, what do you guys got to worry about?
Even they were like, nah.
I don't think so. Give it to Cracked. Let it be a Cracked movie. Richard Donner passed away, which we did discuss on the show or when that happened.
Yeah.
Of course, directed Lethal Weapon, The Goonies, Superman, Scrooged, which we just talked about a little bit last episode. Scrooged with Bill Murray.
Yep.
And previous episode topic, The Omen, the 1970s Omen film.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Oh, it was good.
I don't know. That one's a weird one because it's not like childhood affecting, but it almost is because those are so many. It's just, I love The Omen, and most of that is because I love David Warner as an actor, and so I love almost anything he's in. I'm a big fan of the first 3 Superman movies. You know, I watched The Goonies growing up. Scrooged with Bill Murray, a lot of people don't care for it, but I actively like it, you know? So I was like, man, he created a lot of things that I actively enjoyed, you know? It's upsetting.
So sad. I don't mean to sound disingenuous. I just don't have a lot to add.
No, I know. I was like sighing, and then I'm like, not to belabor the point. We have 3 names left. I'll bring up Jackie Mason, famous comedian, very easy to do impressions of.
Yeah, I've known that one at least.
Yeah, if anyone's familiar with old DePatie Freeling cartoons that are not the Pink Panther, basically, if you've seen The Ant and the Aardvark was basically just a Jackie Mason impression.
Oh,
whoever was doing that voice, but you know, he showed up in previous discussed movie Mad World as a gas station attendant because, you know, every comedian that existed at the time shows up in that fucking movie. But also he voiced Krusty the Clown's father, Rabbi Kristofsky, on The Simpsons since I think 1993 up until they killed the character off in like 2018. So he was one of those guys that was just he'd keep coming back. But Now he is gone as well. Jessica Walter passed away, which is sad because it feels like it was just yesterday that her husband Ron Liebman passed away, but I looked it up and that was literally in 2019, which it just goes to show you how fucked up last year was.
Yeah, good God.
Ruined everyone's sense of timing. But yeah, tons of TV and movie work. I know her for playing mothers on programs. She was Lucille Bluth on Arrested Development. She was Archer's mother on Archer. And she was Fran on Dinosaurs, a series that I and 3 other people in the world enjoy. And lastly, who passed away a couple of months ago, that being comedian Norm Macdonald, which was sort of a strange one. He led a very reserved and private life, which is why it shocked so many people when he passed away.
Yeah.
And it's even stranger because I don't know how much you've experienced it on the internet, but I've experienced it a lot, where he's funny. He's a really funny guy, but he's not one of those comedians that a lot of people would always be talking about or sharing clips of.
Mm.
But even still, within the past couple of weeks, even though he died months ago, I'm still seeing people like now sharing. It's either a bunch of people just discovered his stuff and are enjoying it for the first time, or it's like, oh, I forgot how much I like Norm Macdonald. Here's some of my favorite stuff. Have you seen a lot of that?
I haven't seen a lot of that specifically, but I also I'm not really online for that sort of thing that much anymore. But also just
That's
like
fair.
I never really knew how to feel about the guy because like I think I had seen a few of his stand-up things like back in the day, like when I was younger, and I think I just wasn't a fan because I think he was so deadpan with his delivery that I just couldn't get into it.
Yeah,
which like normally is pretty funny for me for some reason I just can never vibe with.
He likes twisting the knife. He likes making the audience uncomfortable, and not in like a squeamish, gross way. It's just like, and I've seen Gilbert Gottfried live now, and he does the same thing with his act, where it's just like, okay, how far can I push this joke before people are going to start standing up and leaving? And then he starts going into other material.
Yeah.
Once he's like, I can't take this any further. And Norm did that a lot. But, just to go into it for the brief overhead, comedian known for appearing in SNL, especially as the host for Weekend Update for a really long time, until he got fired because he was constantly making O.J. Simpson murder jokes around the time of the trial.
Fair enough.
I forget the name, but the guy who was the producer of SNL at the time was actually friends with O.J. Simpson. And so he asked Norm Macdonald multiple times not to make those jokes, and then Norm did it anyways. So they fired him.
Honestly, props to him. Like, fair enough. I think like a modern equivalent, I think, might be Jimmy Carr, who's been controversial in his own ways. Apparently, he had like a tax scandal or something in the UK. But that's very much his style of like, he's actually kind of like an educational guy as well. Like he literally studies like the practice of like the art of like joke telling and everything. I think he even released a book on it. And so he has a very like hard set mindset of everything can be made to be funny, and to that end anything should be made to be made funny, and like to make it taboo is only doing it a disservice as a subject. And he really does have that whole thing of, he literally has a bit by the end of his stand-up shows where it's like, all right, it's time for the career-ending jokes. Where it's like, all right, fair enough.
I mean, I agree with most of that.
Yeah. Like, he at least does it in such a classy, like, he does it in a classy enough way, and he's not necessarily dry with it, but a lot of his jokes are very, like, pretty one-shot. Like, he does a lot of them in a row. And so, like, they don't tend to go too deep, but they definitely, it's very quick and to the point with very dark subjects. So I tend to like his stuff. I'm sure he'll do something that'll just be like, okay, not a big fan of the guy anymore. So,
oh, why'd you do that? You ruined everything. Yeah, they tend to do that a lot.
Yep.
Unfortunately. But yeah, that is the obituaries that I have pulled together. Deaths in the year 2021.
Fantastic. I mean, not fantastic, but
Well, no.
You know what I mean. I think.
Yes. Some of them I'm okay with.
Oh yeah, no, fucking, good old, what's his fuck, Rush Limbaugh. Yeah, the world will not miss him.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
And I have my own opinions on Prince Andrew, but that's kind of besides the point.
You mean Philip?
Philip, sorry. I'm also okay. I've been latching on to the internet's obsession with the idea that Queen Elizabeth might actually already be dead.
Yes.
Simply for the fact that they cannot allow her to be dead at the 69th year of her reign. It's like, my God. And I swear to God, once the anniversary comes up and then they say she's dead, I am going to be convinced that they're weekend at burying her.
I think that's funny. I don't know how much I believe it. My running theory in my head is that she's terminal with something and they just don't want to portray her as in failing health until it's already too late. Yeah. But I mean, if her anniversary turns and they announce it, I'll be right there with you.
I'm such an anti-royalist kind of person because, like, for fuck's sake, I'm Scots-Irish, so I have every right to be. And the idea that this is what they're doing, this whole charade, I am so wanting it to be true. I'm so wanting it to be true. It will be the funniest thing of the decade.
I'm sure everyone's on standby with their gifs of the crabs dancing and.
There's that one line in Megamind, like, there is no Tooth Fairy, there is no Santa Claus, and there is no Queen of England. And I'm just like, come on.
Oh, jeez.
Like, I'm with my finger on the button, just like, come on.
Well, with that, that's actually a really good way to end the obituaries, because it's like, that's a potential obituary for next year. We'll see. But
that's my resolution.
I was going to say, let's move into resolutions, and I was also going to make the joke, don't say that the queen is dead. But there we go, we already broke the seal.
Yep, sorry.
No, it's all right, it's all right. But yeah, what do you have for any resolutions? And keep in mind, these aren't like, I know we've talked about this in the past with the resolutions, they're not like hard goals. You can turn them into things, but I guess this is just a way to express our aspirations and our hopes for what's coming up, just to ring it in, and especially to bring a little joy, possible optimism following the death march that just happened.
Yeah, Jesus. I think for me, it's one that's kind of just been building up for a while. Is like, I need to be more creative this year. Like, I've had a lot of like world building ideas that have been kicking around in my head for a while. I've been wanting to make a homebrew D&D world first and foremost.
Ooh.
It's kind of been a culmination of like years of ideas that have just danced around in my head, and that they've kind of coalesced in this idea of like a D&D setting. And I really want to make a hard go at it, because like I've been getting into Critical Role a lot this year, and a lot of this was straight up spurned by the fact that Matt Mercer on their channel, basically there's a video on their channel for the third series that was coming up. They released one that was basically giving a history of this fantasy world that they're set in, and it was Matt Mercer doing basically what is every creative / world builder's greatest dream, which is just sitting in a video explaining their world and giving all the cool details, and people absolutely loving it. And like, that's the dream. That is ultimately the dream. If I get to just sit down and tell people cool things about a thing that I made, and then everyone gets to say, "Hey, that's cool as shit." That's like, if I could do that, I would die happy. I wouldn't have to do anything else.
That'd be cool.
It's like, that is honestly the biggest spurring action to it, of like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna do it. I wanted to do world building for a long time, and the problem with me is that I am good at creating worlds. I am not good at creating stories. I want to create this place that a story can be made, and would hopefully be able to run it with like a group at some point. And because I can come up with details out the wazoo, I can come up with histories out the wazoo, but for the love of God, I cannot come up with a storyline to save my life. At least a solid singular thing. Like I can give like spurring actions and everything, like, and that would like lead other people to make these story creative ideas on their own. But I think that's kind of what would make me good for a DM, simply because like that's kind of the problem that a lot of like potential DMs run into. That being, are you trying to create a world and a setting so that people can have their own stories, or are you just trying to write a book? And I don't want to write a book. I want to create a world that people can enjoy. So I think I'm decently on the way to being able to figure that out for myself.
Okay. I was going to say, I think I'm sort of in the same realm as you. I'm not, I don't think I'm that good at world building, but I think I'm really, not to, you know what? Fuck it. Yes, to toot my own horn. Sometimes you gotta be positive about yourself.
Yeah, you gotta do it a little.
But I think I'm pretty good at making characters. But when it comes to stories, I can't like figure out things for them to do. You know, so
yeah,
we should combine our forces. You make the world, I make the characters, and then they'll all sit around and do nothing.
I think it would probably be. I think ultimately, I think the conjunction of characters plus world will inevitably kind of lead towards a story. And so I think we could work with that pretty well. And I still want to help you out with that game idea you've been talking about. So
yeah, it's been because of a couple, which we don't have to get into here, a couple of things that have come out and changed and things like that. I'm not as hot on the idea, or at least I want to flesh it out into something else, because the way my brain was going, I don't think that's a viable option anymore. So
okay, that's fair.
But hey, I mean, that's a resolution for me too. I need to be more creative, and in terms of this specific project, because I have a ton of projects that I put time into, but this is the one that I think I care the most about, and I've put the least amount of time into it, because I'm scared I'm going to start it and just completely fuck it up. I need to commit to that more, and that's definitely one of the resolutions that I have, is to just try and put more time and effort into actually fleshing that out and getting it past a design phase.
And I think the best advice I can ever give for that sort of thing is like the best advice I've ever heard on the subject was basically it's like for any form of art, the way you create your own art form is find an art form that you really like, try to emulate it, fuck it up again, and continue to fuck it up for the rest of your life. Congratulations, you have a style. So the fear of fucking up is both a reasonable one and one not to be feared at all, because it's kind of part of the process. Something beautiful will come from those ashes.
I mean, that's actually really good advice. That reminds me of, I can't believe that I'm mentioning him now twice on this show, but that's something that I used to hear Rob Paulson bring up in the past when he had that Talking Tunes podcast, because, you know, he's been a voice actor since the 80s. And he would get calls and people would be like, you know, trying to cast him for something and be like, hey, can you do a Don Knotts impression? Or a Don Knotts voice? And he's like, well, kinda. I can do a bad impression of Jeff Bennett's good impression of Don Knotts. So if you want a really good impression of Don Knotts, hire Jeff Bennett. If you want something that's vaguely Don Knotts but is sort of turned into its own thing, then yeah, I'll come audition for it. You know, and so I think there is a kernel of truth in that. That's how a lot of media is, and not just media, but like ideas in general are created, is emulating something you care about, and then of course you fuck it up because you're not the same person as whoever made that, and then it turns into its own thing, right? From there, so yeah, maybe so.
Ultimately, like, you know, end of the day, there is not a single creative idea still left in this universe, and every idea was already come up with probably within the first decade that human beings were existing on this planet. And so at this point, it's really just doing it in different ways.
I agree.
So I'd say we have a lot to give each other this year if we're going into that route.
We'll see what happens the weekend of April 8th. when we have the summit.
Yeah, this is gonna be our equivalent of like that one Pixar like creatives meeting at that cafe where they came up with like all the big ideas.
The diner meeting.
Yeah,
that I'm sure happened.
Yeah, I'm sure that totally happened. I'm sure they came up with like 1,000 things, and like those like 8 movies that came out of that were the only good ones.
Yeah.
with some shit like, I don't know, like a chicken fried steak is a person. I don't fucking know. Who gives a shit? The animator creatives are some of the most buck-wild people I've ever known, from what few that I've met in my life, and I fear them and respect them, but mostly fear them.
And really, isn't that all we can hope for?
I mean, yeah. The one thing we can always hope for is that we are the absolute most buck-wild person in whatever particular niche we have found. Because by God, that means we'll at least get noticed.
That's fair. And besides that, I do have one other resolution. Okay. But it's sort of tacked on to a resolution that I not only made last year, but I think I succeeded in. And that was just that whenever it comes to like actually watching things and trying to, intake more culture, I end up killing myself because I try to go too hard, and then I end up with like what I had in 2020, which I didn't intend to do, but watch every mainline animated Disney film, and then I had to squeeze in like 15 in the last 2 weeks. But the one I came up with last year is I just wanted to have at least one new thing to talk about every time we did the podcast.
Yeah.
And I think I did that, and part of that was the fact that I kept going to the theaters to like watch new things. But also just stepping outside of my comfort zone and trying to watch things in genres that I'm not as comfortable with, or things I'm sort of unfamiliar with. This Letterboxd account that I have, the All the Trophies Letterboxd account, I ended up copying a bunch of other people's lists that I found interesting. And I have films added to my own watch list. And I found this neat little program someone made online. It's called like the Watch List Picker or something. Mm-hmm. That I feed all this information into. I just hit a button and it gives me a random movie from all of that. And I want to not only keep going to the theaters, but every now and then I want to pull that up and just hit the button and then literally just watch whatever comes up and not even think about it,
That's a pretty good. That's the modern equivalent of like browsing around the movie channels in like HBO or something.
Right. I just I want to have the sort of control to just hit it once and then go with the flow instead of clicking it like 10 times, because then that really is the equivalent of scrolling through the
Yeah, true.
Like, don't want to watch that. Don't want to watch that. So
don't question it.
We'll see how that goes.
Let the random shit of the universe to show you the way.
Yes.
There is no fate, there is only chaos.
There's only chaos and Zool and...
I don't know.
Whatever
the fuck's going on in Hollywood these days, that's as close to chaos as it can get.
That's all I got. I have no other resolutions. I think those are both good. Just be creative, watch more things, and I think that'll help me be more creative because I'll get more ideas and everything sort of feeds into itself.
I think I'm good with the one. I think I'm gonna try to I'm just gonna try to paint more for one thing, just because so I can just have that as just like a little activity, because I do enjoy doing it. I just gotta have like a goal in mind when I do it. I've got some new drafting equipment, so I'm gonna try to do some more technical drawings just for the hell of it. I have a better computer now that I can actually run AutoCAD on, so I have a light version on there that I'll be using for myself, and just like. Ultimately, I have had all these different ideas floating around, especially for this new D&D world, that I just gotta put down. I gotta put it somewhere, I gotta make it real. And I really, genuinely just want to do that. And I think this is as good a time as any to get that shit going. So.
Cool. I'd love to be a player in whatever world you create.
I'm trying. I'll avoid giving the details on here in case someone decides to steal those ideas.
No, that's okay. Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, no, because I've also been inspired by. There's another D&D. It was a D&D animated series on YouTube called Fool's Gold, and it was a fun series. It's got a lot of cool shit, and it's about this. It's by this girl who is a character in I think her boyfriend's homebrew world. And she started making a series about like a lot of their encounters in the game, and it got so successful that they were able to do a Kickstarter for making like a full like sellable module of this homebrew world, and it got a ton of support. I including me, I actually contributed to it because I love it so much. I think like
Cool.
I think they promised. I think they were asking like at 300,000. They ended up with like just under 2.5 mil. So it went well. Like they were even advertised on Critical Role, and so that was also another spring action of like, you know what, I could do that. I could 100% create a world that is able to be like advertised and sold. I think I'm fully capable of that, and it's about time that I start doing some shit that's like actually kind of productive towards that. Because goddamn, if I don't have all the ideas in my head already, I just gotta put them somewhere. Damn this process. This process of making it real.
I believe in you. You can do it.
Well, thank you.
I'm sure of it.
Well, thank you. But yeah, no, that's probably the biggest resolution is I want to make genuine progress towards that and just being creative in general.
All right. Sounds fair enough. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, nothing world shattering, but you know, things pretty good for me.
All right.
Yeah. Normally this would be the point where we're like, oh, what other recommendations or, you know, I guess socials, but otherwise I think we kind of touched on everything we tend to.
Oh yeah. I mean, I guess I do have socials. I forgot we usually do give those out at the end, even on the end of your podcast. Yeah. So I guess I can do that real quick. Go ahead and, you know, follow us on any of your favorite podcasting platforms. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, YouTube, Spreaker, Stitcher, Podbay, iHeartRadio, Podomatic, all those good ones. Our hosts are at Anchor. Thank you, Anchor, of course. Feel free to, you know, rate, leave reviews, and comment and all the stuff. Or if you want to forego the stars and instead contact us directly, you can do so by sending an email to theyremadeit@gmail.com. As I've mentioned, we like to get suggestions through there. We have one recently that's probably going to impact our picks for early next year. We always like to get those, but also, you know, just leave feedback, comments, or just if you want to talk, go ahead and shoot us something there. Always make sure that stuff gets read. Yeah. And it's just nice, you know?
Yeah. we like knowing that there are people out there, you know. We tend to, I don't know if it's been made abundantly clear, we're not super social people ultimately, but
no,
and that's fine with us. We're introverted guys, but you know, it's cool knowing that, you know, we make a difference even just a little bit in people's lives, just to kind of that someone gives a shit about our ramblings. I have no idea why you cares. Would. Truly, I am baffled that anyone might even begin to care about these words that we're saying. Us geriatric young men. But it does make me happy when that does happen. So I can hardly dissuade you from enjoying it. I
agree.
God knows I've enjoyed worse things. Fuck man, I still enjoy the Fallout series.
That's something.
It's gotten bad. But that's a whole other story for a podcast that I have no intention to make.
And last social at that, follow us on Twitter @ItRemade to get updates for the podcast, new episodes, potential future episodes that we may do, full circle diagrams that I enjoy putting together, and posters for suggestions that we've made on the show in the future, or in the past. Oh, I don't know how we do it in the future, but also things that we've recently been watching, playing, etc. So,
just doing our normal bullshit.
Yep, that is it.
Well, 2021, you were significantly better than your predecessor, but that bar was on the fucking floor. So, you know, I think it was an okay year. Honestly, for the simple fact that nothing, at least ill-advisedly bad happened in my life, I can't really say it was bad. It was an okay year. I can't say
I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to knock on wood for this one because God knows there's a few days left.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think we wrapped it pretty nicely. I think, yeah. That's like, I know. All I know is that one giant effigy goat statue that didn't burn for a lot of years did get burned, and now everyone's like, okay, maybe this will save us for next year. And you know what? Here's hoping. Yeah. Like, wicker sacrifices have worked in the past, apparently. Like, we've had precedence of that in this show. So, fuck it. All praise to the burning goat.
Oh, I'm sure people are gonna love to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, that's one of the less weird things I've said on this show.
Fair.
I've said some things. I will not try to break that record.
Fair enough. That totally makes sense.
So, into the new year. I think that just about wraps us for this year.
I think so too.
And we'll be off on our kind of break for the month of January, and then we'll be right back at it. But I think we've both earned a bit of a rest. This has been a busy last month.
We usually take a month off.
Yeah.
So
enjoy your Januaries, everybody, and to all of you, a very happy New Year. And I hope you are all healthy and safe. Have a good night, everybody.